What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the Belly Up Sports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix from. You will find us there. Follow us on social media at Insert Name MC, at Insert Name FC on Instagram, X, Facebook, and also YouTube. Which at some point I'm gonna break these episodes down into short videos. It's just I'm on like a huge time crunch right now as of lately. I just that hasn't become my priority lately. But obviously, full video version of this episode is available on Belly Up's YouTube channel, so that's really where most of my effort is being put on. But yeah, on Belly Up's YouTube channel, check them out at Belly Up Sports. That's where you'll find the full video version of this episode at. But yeah, this episode, episode 250. We're talking U.S. men's national team roster. This is the March call. This is the final call-up before going into the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So we'll talk about the guys that are called up. Obviously, this is maybe a preview of what we're going to expect to see in 2026, or this could just be another tryout, another audition. So we'll go ahead and talk with that. And we'll also be talking about what happened with Senegal. If you guys don't know, Senegal was stripped of their African Cup of Nations trophy, and it was now presented to Morocco. And we'll get into that. And for those discussions, for U.S. men's national team and for the Senegal situation, we actually have Belly Up Sports writer Nik Gable. He's coming on for the show to talk about that. So I'm really excited because it's been a while since we've had Nick on here. So I love that we're going to get to talk more footy with him. And then we have Champions League, right? Round of 16 is over. We're on to the quarterfinals. And who else better than to talk with than Kelcey Coyne of High Low Sports. We'll be talking about the round of 16, how it all went down, and then end up previewing the quarterfinal matches. So I'm excited. You should be excited as well. Get ready. Obviously, players of the week, games to watch this weekend. It is the international break, so we'll be talking about the international matches, of course. And obviously, end this show with Give and Go. Yeah, so we'll have a conversation with Give and Go. Yeah, so it should be a good one. Remember, guys, Give and Go. It's an awesome card game. If the camera lets me, there you go. It's an awesome card game. Great for dialogue. Great for discussions. Has some funny games, some little extra little things you could do. But it's a really cool game, man. Go to giveandgogames.com and go get one yourself. There's also a drinking version of this game. So for you alkies out there you go. But yeah, man, 250. Can't believe we're at this number when we look back all the way from 2020, and to have our 250th episode is pretty insane. But with all that being said, man, we'll take a break and then we'll go right into Senegal. Senegal getting stripped from the African Cup of Nations with Nik Gable, Belly Up Sports writer. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys, coming back on the podcast, a very much beloved person on Belly Up Sports. Also, you'll probably see us covering the World Cup over for the Belly Up Super Show as well. And that, of course, is Nik Gable, who is writer extraordinaire, covers NFL, football, basketball, and soccer. So, welcome to have you back, man. How's it been?
Good. Glad to be back. Been consuming a lot of soccer. It's been fun. The tail end of the Champions League's been exciting. We've had some good matchups in the quarterfinals. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, man. This actually wasn't planned, but it just was announced. As a matter of fact, there's already a video on Belly Up, a little TikTok reel, whatever you want to call it, that I just did. Antoine Griezmann is going to be joining Orlando City SC after the World Cup. Obviously, he still has his commitments to Atletico Madrid. They're still in, like you mentioned, Champions League earlier. Very much in Champions League, is in the Copa del Rey final against Real Sociedad, managed by American Pellegrino Matarazzo, by the way. Just want to throw that out there for Real Sociedad. But on top of that, what does Antoine Griezmann bring for MLS? Like, how huge of a signing is this for Major League Soccer?
I think it's pretty big because he's been flirting with the MLS for a while and he's been flirting with America for a while. And I think it's a pretty he's still quality. He still plays for Atletico Madrid and I think it'll help Orlando City F or CF a lot. Um, I'm honestly, I don't mean to hate on Orlando City, but I'm surprised he didn't go to like an LA or a New York team because it seemed like he was always building, like he was always talking about going to an LA or New York team, and going to Orlando is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think obviously there's so much going on with Orlando right now. Obviously they sacked their manager Oscar Pareja, kind of trying to figure out what the identity for Orlando is going to be. Not great. I mean, they've had decent results, nothing terrible, but they've had pretty bad starts of the season for Orlando. And like you mentioned, I would have imagined Orlando would have probably tried to sell his discovery rights, which I still can't believe is a thing in MLS, but discovery rights maybe to a New York or to an LA market. I know we I talked about it a lot. LAFC still had a DP slot available. Could have that been Antoine Griezmann? But yeah, I think. But what does he bring for Orlando? And would you say Orlando's maybe a good spot for him just because of once again his love for the NBA? The Orlando Magic is there. Doesn't have to be a Magic fan, but he's gonna see some good basketball from time to time.
Yes, I think as I always remember need to remind myself, no state income tax, and I think we always got to remember with those Europeans coming to America, like sometimes they'll choose a Florida or a Texas team because they'll be like, well, you don't have to pay, especially Griezmann, who's going to probably get paid a lot. You won't have to pay that income tax. And I think he's still going to probably come into their side and be one of their better, if not their best attacker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think has he retired from France or did he?
I think he's an option for the French
Okay,
national
so
team.
I
So
think also, and this is just a guess, I think the World Cup or MLS will get a World Cup boost where all these Americans are watching um, the World Cup and are saying, "Well, now I want to watch my local team." And I think he'll benefit from that a lot, and so will any other Europeans coming into MLS in the summer.
I definitely agree. I think Orlando, the fan base is very strong. I think they have a very good fan base when it comes to the other MLS sides. But yeah, I think Antoine Griezmann also super marketable. I think definitely lot more, I guess, social than a Lionel Messi would be. I mean, Lionel Messi just needs to pop up and he'll be fine. But with
Mhm.
Griezmann, his ability to be very charismatic, I think that this is like a real home run for MLS because of a guy that you can really do a lot of marketing with. Some similar to Heung-min Son, if you will, a very marketable player. And on top of that, it's in Florida. So and you got Disney World. The partnerships
Yeah,
are crazy for when you think about it.
definitely, definitely. I think Orlando's like a very underrated city for athletes too, who are just like you're not going to be you're not in like the bigger markets where you're going to be recognized all the time. I think they kind of give their athletes some space too, which is nice.
Yeah, very true. But that was obviously an impromptu thing. No, that was just something that just happened. It just got announced. So just wanted to throw it out there. But the big topic that we're going to talk about, I mean, besides the U.S. men's national team, is something that I can't believe is what was it? AFCON was what, January?
Mm-hmm.
Started in December, ended in January,
Yeah.
and Senegal just got stripped from their African Cup of Nations championship. Like it was stripped from them, and is now awarded to Morocco. Um, the big reason was, and I mean, there's so much controversy with AFCON. At least this version of AFCON that we heard a lot about. Especially, we had Moussa on, and he shared his thoughts on the tournament as a whole. And it hurts for me, for someone that really loves African football. It's just football at its purest, is what I always say. Um, and to see so much controversy with what even the final alone, where we have a goalkeeper, the backup goalkeeper, defending a towel because the ball boys keep trying to take the towel away from the
Mhm.
goalkeeper. But on top of that, you had this controversial penalty that was called in the match, which led to the Senegal players walking out of the pitch. You know, after that moment, but eventually did come back and they continued on the game, and obviously that ended with Senegal winning the whole thing. But CAF has decided that they looked back at the result of the final, and because of the players stepping off the field, that made them forfeit the match, which that is why now Morocco is now the 2025 AFCON champions with the automatic result of a 3-0. Your thoughts, Nick, as far as everything that has happened just right there for Senegal?
Honestly, I would have been okay if they had given the game to Morocco right then and there. Because I feel like in any form of sport, when you leave the field, even if the penalty is dubious and it's the home country and you feel like you're getting robbed, you still have to play the game. And once you leave, like if you think about growing up playing like youth sports, if a parent who was coaching the team or a coach was so upset at the ref and left the game and left the field, you'd be like, they're forfeiting. So I think Senegal, like, obviously they shouldn't have left the field. And they should have been, it should have been like, all right, you guys left the field, the game is over. Or it's suspended or something. But the fact that it like kind of half happened, where it was like half your team left the field. I think it was Mane who was still out there. And it was like, all right, you're coming back. And then the game was played. It seems like, okay, Morocco could have said, Morocco, I think, should have said, well, you guys left the field. We're not going to play. We're going to get this suspended. And we're going to either play again, resume the game at another time, or we should be awarded. But the fact that Morocco almost screwed themselves in the moment by agreeing to still play. They should have been like, look, we're leaving too. If you guys leave and come back, you can't, like, it's sport. You can't leave the game. If you're playing a game and you leave the game's over. And I think, 50 some days later, the AFCON awarding Morocco the cup, it's like, it's kind of too little too late. And it reminds me of in the NCAA when they strip a team of a title, it doesn't really mean anything. The game still happened and we all saw it. And like, it's just for the Wikipedia asterisks that like Senegal won, but asterisk, Morocco was later awarded. They're not going to have a parade for the title. And if they do, it's not going to be meaningful because it's going to feel weird. I think they did this because it was in Morocco, and I think it was like a semantics. It was like they did it because they were going to launch an investigation, and every investigation in every walk of life takes way too long. It didn't really take 50 some days to investigate what happened. Could have taken like 5 days to investigate what happened. So I think, as weird as it is to say, Morocco should have been given the 3-0 victory, but not 51 days later. It should have just happened. Should have been like, all right, you guys left. It's Morocco's victory.
And I agree with what you're saying. I think that you walk off the pitch, you're forfeiting the match. The part that I have a problem, and this just goes back to how just poorly organized CAF is, and this kind of just stems from that. Like, way to make CONCACAF look somewhat, decent. Because there's always, CAF just seems to do things that they just dig themselves in a hole for no apparent reason. Like, would have the people of Senegal and maybe other football fans be frustrated that the decision came down to a forfeit? Sure. But it happened then and there, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then on top of that, like you said, Morocco shot themselves in the foot when they accepted to continue the game. They said, "Yeah, come back onto the pitch. We'll continue the game on." They all they had to do was score a penalty, and then you had Brahim Diaz trying to be fancy with a Panenka, which, I mean, you make fun of the guy that misses the Panenka, but when he makes the Panenka, it's a great Panenka. But
exactly.
It's worth the shot. But which, by the way, Brahim Diaz had an amazing tournament, by the way, when he was with when he did the switch over to Morocco. But like you mentioned, it was a day late, a buck short, right? You accepted the consequences of it, playing the game on, which, I mean, maybe goes back to the sportsmanship, pass it on, right? The guy like I touched the ball last, coach, kind of moment where you're just like
Hmm.
everybody in Morocco's like you're just an idiot. But in reality,
Yeah.
I give props to Morocco for at least wanting to continue the game, and obviously the result ended the way it ended. And you're absolutely right. There's going to be people that are going to look back at this AFCON and be like, Senegal won it. Like don't let the 3-0 fool you. Senegal won the final. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. With Morocco should have just accepted the forfeit, and then they have the whole trophy lift. They go do the parade. Now it's just awkward. Like, do you really want to be proud of this trophy if you're
Hmm.
Morocco? Um, and obviously, like just this tournament a whole, like Morocco was the host. Morocco is set to host the next World Cup, alongside Spain and Portugal. So this was just like kind of like a good dress rehearsal for them for when they're hosting the World Cup, and you have all this controversy that comes into play with that. Um, does that give you any concerns for the next World Cup when we see Portugal, Spain, and Morocco, and I think we're gonna see Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay for like the first couple matches.
No, because I think if anything, when you have a warm up for the World Cup, kind of like in the US when they had that like scene at the goal or was it the Gold Cup or was it the what was they had like a warm up a couple years ago.
The Club World Cup or
Not the Club World Cup, but it
Copa
was
America.
Copa America, that's what it was. And they had that scene in Miami where all these guys like or people like kind of like got through the barriers and it was like, okay, well that can't happen at the World Cup. So they'll probably fix it for the World Cup. And they kind of know, all right, this is what we need to fix. And with Morocco, I doubt they'll be hosting the final. I doubt they'll be hosting too many games past the like quarterfinals or round of 16. But FIFA and the security will know, hey, when Morocco is playing, there might be some shenanigans. Let's watch out for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's almost like it's bad that it happened to Senegal with the ball boys trying to take the towel, but it's almost like, you know, which in the defense of the ball boy, like you could have just gotten another towel. Was that the only towel?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm still like, it's just one towel. But yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think the World Cup will be okay in a couple years.
Yeah, I get that, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Senegal will have to give up their, and it's crazy because all the pictures that they took, you had the Sadio Mane sleeping with the trophy image, and AI jumped right away on it, having like the Morocco players take it from his bed. That was AI. You always can never predict AI.
Nope.
Um, but yeah, no, I think that this was an unfortunate incident. Um, obviously I mentioned Senegal, I mentioned Moussa from Mo Football TV. So I got permission from Moussa, so he sent me he's giving me a clip that to put right here to share his whole thoughts on it. Obviously, he's not very happy about it, being that he is from Senegal. Well, his family's from Senegal, so obviously he's not happy about the result. But I get it. I think once again, if they done it in the final, that's where it's like this wouldn't be as big of a deal, right? Like if
Yeah.
they would have just done it right then and there. All right, you guys forfeited. That's it. Congratulations, Morocco. You're the champions. You know, you don't even have to do a Panenka now, like
Exactly.
but instead, you guys waited till now to overturn that decision, and that's the unfortunate part. But I'll play the clip right here at this moment, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
All right, so as we thought that all of this was over, we just turn around and Calf comes back and says, "No, people, no." 2 months afterward, no, all the celebrations, all of the trophies, the cups, the talks, the huge parade. Calf is like, you know what? Let's still worry to Morocco because they sued. They Now they're more deserving of this trophy without scoring a goal, missing a Panenka. But let's have the courts decide who wins it. Even though, yes, we all understand that the players should not have left the field, but the referee let the play go on. Morocco let the play go on. They missed the penalty. There was a magical goal, They let the celebration going. They let everything else going. And now it's like, you know what? No, the medals is for another team. But then now you have to ask yourself this question is, for you as a professional soccer player that have played a tournament, are you really going to accept this award? Are you really going to see all your peers for the next 2 years and accept it? Are you going to really be the joke of the African continent and the rest of the world, knowing that you have a star in your jersey because you won it in court? And the last thing is, as someone that's spent that much time advocating for the tournament, that much time talking about it, that much time creating about it, pushing a lot of the people and my peers to watch this tournament just to become an embarrassment to the rest of soccer, the rest of football, the rest of the African continent. Now this is what we have to deal with. We spend all of this time promoting it. We spend all this time talking to people of why they should watch it. And now the only thing we're talking about is not the play, is not all of the players that are doing amazing things. We're talking about corruption, which we all knew corruption is part of soccer in general. Let's not get it confused. It's everywhere. But in court, winning a trophy, participation trophy, you win now in court. So now let's see if our good friends from Morocco, nos amis marocains, vont soit prendre le trophée, ou ils vont dire non, nous on est des pros, on va gagner sur le terrain, pas dans les cours, ou ils vont juste l'accepter et on va y parler pour des années, qu'on va dire non, vous avez gagné votre trophée dans un fax, vous avez gagné votre trophée dans les cours, vous avez gagné votre trophée dans des fax ou des choses comme ça. Ça va être trop intéressant. On a passé beaucoup de temps à promoter cette CAN. Et maintenant, tout le monde rigole. Du ouest, du nord, du centre, aux États-Unis, partout dans le monde. Maintenant, tout le monde rigole parce qu'ils disent que, voilà, continent africain, corruption, CAF is a joke. Et toutes ces choses maintenant. Et on est à 2 mois de la Coupe du Monde. 2 mois. Maintenant, le Maroc va s'appeler les champions d'Afrique dans la Coupe du Monde. Mais tout le monde le sait que ils sont pas vraiment les champions. Ils ont juste gagné au tapis vert. But that's just my take. Who knows? Who cares? But all I know is that just raises another question is, do we even spend time promoting CAF? Do we even spend time promoting CAN? Because we all know the things that have happened before the game, during the game, and after the game. And come to find out a lot of the fines and the games from the other Moroccans or the ball boys and all that got reduced as well. So now the question is, how much do they get paid? What do they know about those that make those decisions? And how far Senegal is willing to take it? Because this is not over, and I'm sure there will be a lot more court talk. The referee let the game play. Morocco let the game play. They completed it. Trophy was awarded. Celebration was done. Take it for what it is. And as always, oh yeah, that's more football for you. So we'll see you soon. Peace.
Which is the U.S. men's national team. So there's going to be 2 matches. We're in the international friendly, the international window right now. I believe this is the final international window before the World Cup. And it's March 28th. They'll be playing Belgium at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. And on March 31st, we'll be playing Portugal at 8 p.m. Central Time. Both these matches being played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously, one of the host locations for the World Cup. How big is it for Mercedes-Benz to get a good, I guess, a head start on seeing how good their field is ready come the World Cup?
I think it's huge. I think because I know they're replacing the turf with grass in a couple other places. I don't, did they, Mercedes-Benz had originally had turf, right? Or did
Mm-hmm.
they always have grass? Okay. So I think it's a good to kind of test it out, see, work out the kinks, just like the testing out host countries before the big tournament. I think it's good. Atlanta also has one of the better atmospheres in the MLS. So I think it's also kind of their chance to kind of showcase that.
I mean, Belgium, you're going to have Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly. You're going to have a bunch of big names for both those teams. So that should be exciting.
Also, Portugal, I believe, will be playing against Mexico as well. So you're having Cristiano Ronaldo in Stadio Azteca. So that's also going to be a huge one. But yeah, the 27-man roster, so we'll break it down by the groups. Pochettino is bringing in 27 guys. Obviously, in the World Cup, he will only be able to have a 26-man roster. But at least your thoughts, the roster, the way it's, before we share our thoughts on the players, but do you feel like this is the roster where we need to be having our for sure guys of the World Cup, or is this another, it's okay to test out some players, maybe those fringe guys, because you're going to, like, we know Weston McKennie is going to be there, right? We know Christian Pulisic is going to be there. We know Balogun, we know Pepe, as long as they're healthy, they're going to be there. Is this one of those times where it's okay if Pochettino tries some other guys out first?
Honestly, I think you got to play your best 11, both, if not at least 1.5 of the games, because I think you need to build that chemistry. And I know they have a couple warm-up games, which is like the main place to build the chemistry. But I think roster-wise, I think it's important to recognize who's not here. I think the big three names are Dest, Tyler Adams, and Diego Luna, who I think all will be on the World Cup roster. I think there's... Look, I think...
Dest is currently injured, right? Or he's dealing with some... Tyler Adams, I feel like he's been in and out for time to time. And Luna, yeah, you're right. That's an interesting one. I think it's just because, I mean, RSL hasn't really looked that great, to be honest. I mean, I believe they had a big win, maybe not this past week, but they had a good win recently. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Diego Luna as well. But we'll get to those positions once we get there. But for goalkeepers, look, it's a 27-man roster, it's 26 guys, but Pochettino did bring in 4 goalkeepers to this call up. You have Chris Brady from the Chicago Fire, Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati, Matt Freese from New York City FC, and everyone's favorite Matt Turner from the New England Revolution. Honestly, I think this is essentially going to be... I don't think I'm expecting to see Matt Turner in this World Cup. I could be wrong. I don't think Matt Turner is necessarily like giving me any faith that he should be coming back to the U.S. men's national team. I think his time has kind of passed. I mean, I know New England is looking pretty decent as of lately, but I think you move on to the next generation of goalkeepers, and I think Matt Freese once again he's done enough to keep his job right now as the number one. And I mean, Roman Celentano, he's a really good goalkeeper I know FC Cincinnati's also had their struggles, but he's still a really good keeper. And Chris Brady, I mean, we've heard all the hype about Chris Brady. Is there any guys you feel like we're missing in the goalkeeper position, or these are the guys you're expected to see?
I'm definitely expecting to see these guys. I would say, especially compared to our last couple World Cups, the goalkeeper was always a strength with Tim Howard, Brad Guzan, Brad Friedel, and I think this time around it's probably one of our biggest weaknesses, because not a lot of them have high-level European experience and bigger, like big matches. I would say, surprisingly, Matt Turner's probably the biggest experienced, or the most experienced goalie in this group, because he's played in a World Cup. So I think, yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway, is like, we're going into the World Cup with not a great, number one goalie.
No, yeah, I agree. I think, I'm interested. I'm intrigued that we didn't see Diego coaching. Obviously the guy that's right now with Barcelona, which Pochettino has called up recently, but I think he's just really young, and he's not necessarily playing for Barcelona. I think he's actually playing for Barcelona B. But is he a guy that you could trust in between the sticks in the World Cup? No, and I think unless you're trying to just cap tie him, I don't see them. I don't think there's any worry with that. I don't think Spain is knocking at his door anytime soon. But aside from that, I mean, Schulte may be another guy that I would have thought we'd probably see, just because it's usually Matt Freese, Schulte, and Celentano are usually the usual three suspects as far as MLS keepers go. But I think Chris Brady it is just a really interesting piece for that one, and I think that could be a guy that could be going to Europe at some point. But yeah, goalkeepers. I mean, Matt Turner is there for experience, but I think it's still Matt Freese's spot. I think that Matt Freese will still be our keeper come the World Cup. Maybe Matt Turner is just there to share his thoughts and his preparation, as he is a World Cup keeper. So there's that. Defenders, we have Max Arfston of the Columbus Crew, Alex Freeman from Villarreal, formerly an Orlando City player, Mark McKenzie of Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte FC, Chris Richards of Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson of Fulham, Miles Robinson of FC Cincinnati, Joe Scally of Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Austin Trusty of Celtic. Obviously, Poch has recently been using a 3-in-the-back system. Obviously, you have the guys like Miles Robinson and Max Arfston, and Joe Scally as well, but who also can play the center back position. Are you expecting to see the 3-in-the-back once again, or are we gonna see maybe another formation being used from Pochettino?
I could see the 3 at the back again. I hope this is the window he settles on a system, is my biggest takeaway for what the defenders are going to look like. Because, I mean, when you bring in 9 of them, it signals we might go 3 at the back. I think Richards is the nailed-on number 1 starter for the center back position. And then I think if you want to have, say Ream and McKenzie there, or maybe Ream and Trusty, and you want to go with a bit more experience, Pochettino is kind of also favored a 4-2-3-1. I almost think the system will be decided by what he wants to do with the attackers, and we'll get to that when we go over the 4 midfielders and forwards. But yeah, I think you can definitely use. Thing is, if you go 3 at the back, it almost depends. It's almost a little matchup dependent, because you don't want to go 3 at the back against a team playing a front 3 and have Ream going up against the other team's winger or striker. You'd rather have a little more help there, having maybe like 2 holding midfielders in front of that defense, because Ream is getting up there in age. So
I remember, I think the last call up, Alex Freeman actually, I believe, was put at center back for one of those matches, and I remember he was very much a problem for anyone that he was defending against. Freeman has just been a guy that's just jumped at me ever since the Gold Cup. And I mean, respectively so, he got his move to Villarreal, a really good defensive team, by the way. But yeah, it's interesting to see that. I would be intrigued. I think everybody anticipated the 4-2-3-1 formation being the formation we were going to see with Poch, because that's the formation he uses almost everywhere, or some kind of iteration of that style of formation. But the 3-at-back has been interesting. I think it also comes down to the wingbacks that we have, and I think Max Arfston does work perfectly for not as a full-time fullback, but when he plays the wingback, he looks more comfortable being that he is a winger, actually, for the Columbus Crew. And then it actually works out for Anthony Robinson. He's definitely more of an attacking fullback. He's really good with the ball, so that does open him up, at least for that part. But you're right, it's going to come down to who's going to be that back 3. Chris Richards is clearly the leader of that back line. Tim Ream, you're just wondering how long his legs can give you, especially once we go up against world-class talents. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who. Is there any player that you feel like we're missing out on that we should have probably seen in this call-up, or do you feel like these are the defenders that we probably should see?
I think these are the defenders we should see. I think this is probably the best selection of defenders we have, other than Dest. And I do think you pointed out Arfson, who plays winger at his for his club team, being listed as a defender maybe gives a hint that at least in one of these two games we'll see a back three.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I think so. And I mean, like I said, Max Arfson, I had my hesitancy with him. I didn't think he was that great. I didn't know what Poch was seeing. And then the things I like about Arfson is that will he make a mistake? Yes, which is what is anticipated for a young player. But he makes up for it, and that's what he always did. He had a big mess up, but how did he respond with an assist or in a goal? So I think that that's one of the things that I've become more and more of a Max Arfson fan since he's been called up, just because he's gotten better. And clearly he works to Poch's system. So that's, when it comes down to it, is a national team the collection of the best players in the world or best players of that country? Some would say yes, but it's also the best collection of players that works to Poch's system. And I think that that's what's happening. I think no more the days that we just bring in this guy just to bring him because he played for Bayern Munich, even though he doesn't ever play. It's like those things
Exactly.
is no more those days. Like, let's play the MLS guys because they're actually playing. So
Exactly.
but moving on to midfielders, we got Sebastian Berhalter from the Vancouver Whitecaps, Johnny Cardozo from Atletico Madrid, Weston McKennie of Juventus just signed a new deal, by the way, with Juventus as well. Aiden Morris of Middlesbrough, Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach. I completely forgot that that's where he plays at. Christian Roldan of the Seattle Sounders, Tanner Tessman of Olympique Lyon, and Malik Tillman of Bayer Leverkusen. What are you seeing from this midfield? Like, I think, one, you got guys that can play multiple positions, i.e. Malik Tillman could be on the wing. Gio Reyna can also play on the wing. But when you're looking at the structure, like, what is it that you're seeing here from this group of midfielders?
Well, Reyna and Tillman have in prior call-ups, not always with Poch, but with Berhalter, have been listed as forwards, and it's indicated that they're going to be playing on the wing. And the fact that they're both Tillman and Reyna are listed as wingers might indicate a back three that plays kind of like a 3-4-2-1, where you've got the two kind of center attacking mids or attacking mids through the middle, which would benefit Reyna and Tillman, which is crazy to be here in 2026 and being like, considering Reyna's last probably like 2-3 years at club level, saying there's a formation that's going to benefit him for the national team. Reyna by far, I think, is the biggest, like, wow, how, like, this is crazy. I think this might be his last chance to impress, because when I saw him called up and it was like kind of a headline making it around the internet, I was like, okay, well, how well is he doing? He's played 13 games for Mönchengladbach, and he has 0 goals and 0 assists in the Bundesliga. And he really is like, I don't know if you remember Mix Diskerud.
Mm-hmm.
He was like never play for his club and then just be called up to the US and play really well. And I still think Rain is so young still that there's still a great player in there. I just wonder, like, is it ever gonna, like, if he plays really well in this camp, I think he solidifies at least a spot in the squad. I don't know, starting. And then my overall take is this is probably our best position or position group, because even though the forwards are good, other than Pulisic and Weah, none of them have done too much to impress when they're playing for the US.
Mm-hmm.
And the midfielders have done a lot with the US. And I think, I don't know, this is definitely the best position group. I'm fascinated to see where Weston McKennie plays, because if you weren't paying attention to like Juventus and Serie A, you'd be like, oh, he's a center mid for Juventus. He's played like literally everywhere. He's played attacking mid, holding mid, central mid, wing back. Like, he's really just been a Swiss Army knife for them.
No, yeah. I think the only concern for me, you're talking about guys that, like, despite how they're doing with the club, just perform well, and that's Gio Reyna. I think is to a T. That's exactly what he is. Like, it doesn't matter how little minutes he's playing with Dortmund or where he's at now with Mönchengladbach. But he puts on that USA shirt. He just seems to be very fluid. Now, the only thing is, obviously, there's just so much controversy with Gio Reyna. You had, I don't know why he did the interview that he did, where he kind of like put everything out there. Obviously, the controversy that happened in the 2022 World Cup, where his parents were obviously making accusations of Greg Berhalter and his wife. So it's just, he's just become such this hot topic of a player, and it's literally nothing to his fault. At least the initial part, the whole interview, which I don't think he said anything too bad. I think he's trying to come off as a little bit more humble than what I guess everyone is perceiving him to be, like this little bratty crybaby that needed his parents to come and help him, because he wasn't playing or something like that. I know it really made it a terrible look for him. But when you talk about a player that looks great in the club level, but then comes to the U.S. and just doesn't live up to the hype, I think it's Johnny Cardozo. The guy...
Yeah, he's almost the opposite of Reyna.
Exactly. I mean, worked his butt off at Internacional, gets the move to Real Betis, who he became a star over there, earned himself a spot to be respected by the guy Diego Simeone to come in and play for his team. And while he's played really good for Atletico Madrid, I mean, you can see where Atletico Madrid is right now. They're contesting for the Champions League. They are in the Copa del Rey final. So, I mean, Johnny Cardoso is definitely a contributing factor of all that. But there's just something about him when he puts on that USA shirt that he just looks lost. Is it Cardozo, or is it the system? Maybe the system doesn't work for Cardozo.
Yeah, I was at the first Gold Cup game in San Jose last summer, and it was crazy because I was like trying to explain the team to my dad, and then I was like, well, there's this one guy who's not playing, but he's like the best player on one of the bigger teams in Spain. And my dad was very confused, like, wait, why isn't he playing? And I was like, I don't know. And that was like the beginning of like, wait, is he not showing out in training? Is this his style? He just doesn't fit. So it is kind of weird. I'll be interested to see how many midfielders they play and who gets is it him, Tessman, Berhalter? Because it seems like Pochettino loves Berhalter, which is funny. In the fact that his dad was the coach, got fired, and now he took over. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the midfield, this group of midfielders, like, is kind of laid out in a formation.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about guys that Pochettino has liked when you're talking about MLS guys. You don't see Jack McGlynn in here. There could be. I mean, I think the real reason why we're not seeing Jack McGlynn is because when you see a Tanner Tessman, when you see Aiden Morris, we need to give him some flowers because he's been really solid over there in Middlesbrough since. A guy that people talk about left MLS, went to Europe, played in the championship, and it really paid off for him. I think he did really good for himself when he made his move. Doesn't get talked off enough about, but he has really done really good with his move. But you want to talk about a guy that got an opportunity from Pochettino, and probably the reason why we don't see Jack McGlynn here, and that's Christian Roldan. You talked about how Weston McKennie is proving to be able to play all around the midfield and sometimes even on the wings. Christian Roldan became that guy for Poch. He's like, oh, you want me to play the 6? I'll play the 6. You want me to play the 8? I'll play the 8. You want me to play a little bit of cam? I could do that too for you. To a guy that maybe most of us didn't even think should even be an option to be even called up. Now we're thinking like maybe we might like to have this guy coming off the bench.
Definitely. I think in the national team, like, versatility really matters because you need to, and just being able to play in different systems matters. And I think Roldan being able to do that is so key. And same with McKinney, and same with, like, basically, if you can only play one way, it really hurts you. And even the weird thing is some of the best players in the world can only kind of play one way, but that one way is really good. But it's like those versatile players are so helpful.
Definitely. And then the final group, and that is the forwards. We have Brandon Aronson, who you could probably argue as another attacking midfielder option, but primarily plays for the wing from Leeds United. We got Patrick Agyemang, who obviously is a big favorite of Pochettino from Derby County. Folarin Balogun over at Monaco. Ricardo Pepi at PSV Eindhoven. Christian Pulisic of AC Milan. And Tim Weah of Olympique Marseille. Um, people can, Christian Pulisic is kind of going through a gold drought right now for AC Milan. Do you feel like that's a concern going into this World Cup, or you think there's still time for him to find his form with AC Milan, or does it really matter to you how he's playing with AC Milan as long as he's as long as he's playing regular minutes and significant minutes?
Well, I think you obviously always want to be on a hot streak, but I do think of the Euros 2 years ago where Foden was Player of the Year in the Premier League and just bombed at the Euros. So I sometimes think form for club level doesn't always necessarily translate. I think for Pulisic, he came back from an injury a couple weeks ago and kind of for a couple weeks was a bench option. And I think it's important to understand that Milan are not in the Champions League and not in Europe at all. So their games are very like once a week. And so he doesn't always have the opportunity to play at like so many games for Milan. And it's like their manager Allegri really like has his favorites and plays them. And I think Pulisic was that before he got injured, but he started to play a little more. And what's interesting is Pulisic in that team is given like free reign to almost play like a center forward, and they have like a dominant striker play with Pulisic. And I think it'll be interesting to see what Pochettino does with Pulisic, because I think it might be beneficial to just kind of give him that free reign where maybe you say he's like a left winger, but you can kind of say he does whatever he wants to do. Mm-hmm. And I think important, his connection with Anthony Robinson on the left in the World Cup was like one of our biggest attacking threats. And I think it'd be important to keep that connection. I also wonder, because it seems like the US has simultaneously a lot of striker options with also having not like one great one. Like there's no striker who's been like having like a 30-goal season where it's like, this guy has to do it. I do wonder in these two friendlies if maybe it's only for 15 minutes at the end of the game. If Pulisic plays like a center forward position and is like kind of only recognized, not necessarily striker, back to goal striker, but like center forward up top for a period of time during a game. Because I think that would be an interesting look.
Mm-hmm. And, when you talk about like the options at 9 for at least for this group, you have Balogun, which I feel like is at least right now the starting 9 until proven differently. Ricardo Pepi, who was healthy. I think if he were not injured, we would have probably saw him with the Gold Cup team. And then a guy that Mauricio Pochettino just really likes, and that's Patrick Agyemang. And, everybody, by the way, you're talking about speaking of another guy that made the move to the championship and is very much paid off for them tremendously, because I believe he's a fan favorite right now with Derby County. So, it goes back to what me and Edward, we talked about. Sometimes you just want a really fast, big guy on your team. And, that's one of the identities for the U.S. men's national team. We've had it with Josie Altidore. We had it kind of with Brian McBride, maybe not so much in the tail end of his career, but we've always just had a really big, strong presence up top that can really just a pure athlete, if you will. And I think that that's what Pochettino sees in Patrick Agyemang. Like, this guy is massive. He's a great set piece option. And he's going to make those back lines work like hell to keep up with him. And maybe some people have some doubts in him. I get it. But I don't think people at Derby County are complaining too much about him.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because he's almost like built for the championship. He's big and he can run fast and he's great in the air, and championship's like a little less technical than the Premier League, and he almost like he did pick the right kind of environment to play in. One thing I will say about Balogun is I've been placing bets on him to score recently. I've been winning a lot. So I checked, and he has scored in his last 5 Ligue 1 games, and he scored in both legs against PSG in the knockout round or the round of 32 playoffs. They call it the knockout playoff phase, but it's
Yeah.
basically just like a round of 32.
Yeah.
But we talked about club form. He's been the hottest striker, and like at the perfect time, like right before the World Cup. I know I mentioned earlier, form doesn't necessarily always matter because of what happened to Phil Foden in the Euros. But with strikers, it's a little different because if you pick a guy who hasn't scored for, 10, 12 games, and he's coming into the World Cup and you're like, hey, go score us a goal, it's probably harder than the guy who's been scoring for his club team.
And I think right now the identity with the U.S. men's national team has been Balogun, go out there and start, and then final, like maybe in the 60th minute, we'll bring in Ricardo Pepi and be like that big burst of energy that he plays because he's a very high pressing, nine, kind of very Mexican style of striker that is just going to get at your face when it comes to the goalkeeper and put pressure on you to make a mistake, and he's going to pounce on it, which he's done plenty. That's kind of been his MO as a player, especially with PSV. Since he's been given free reign, especially now that he's healthy and now that he's actually kind of more like the starting nine for PSV. So I feel like that's going to be the tandem. But who's to say in a certain game, in a certain situation, that you need an Adjaman out there to just once again just be a big, strong, big guy. So
He's great for the second striker, adding him in to score a goal off a corner or whatever in a game you're trailing in the World Cup. And I think he's like perfect for that kind of role.
So, I mean, now that we went through the players that are on this team, do you feel like this is at least a good amount of these guys we're going to see announced for the 2026 World Cup?
Definitely. I definitely do think Adams for sure will probably be a part of it. Dest, I do think Dest is more of a lock than not. Obviously, I don't want to say this. I'll knock on wood. There could be an injury here or there that makes, one player on this list not be on this list. But yeah, I think for the most part, most of these guys will be, they always say on the plane, but they're not really taking a plane anywhere because they're hosting. Mm-hmm. So they'll be in the first training session. And it made me, when I was doing prep for this, it made me wonder about our last World Cup game against the Netherlands. They lost 3-1. I will read you the team from back to front. You had Tim Ream in goal, Anthony Robinson on the left, or Matt Turner in goal, Anthony Robinson on the left, Tim Ream and Walker Zimmerman as your center backs. Right back, Serginho Dest. The midfield was Moussa, Adams, McKinney, and the front three was Pulisic, Ferreira, and Weah. And you look at that and you think probably everyone other than Zimmerman, Ferreira, Turner, and Moussa will probably maybe even start in our team next or in our first World Cup game. So it did make me realize we do have a lot of World Cup experience on this roster. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the point of all these guys are in their primes. And it's not now or never because players have different careers where they can play till they're, and because soccer is very weird because some players, it's like they hit 31 and they're Raheem Sterling and they're done. Mm-hmm. And some are Thomas Muller, who they're still doing it at 37, 38. So it is different for every player. But this is definitely it definitely hyped me up for this is it. This is when they're all in their prime and they should be at their best.
When you look at this roster, is there a French player that you feel like people need to start looking a little bit more at because you feel like they're going to make that roster?
I think I mentioned it earlier, and this is kind of maybe it's my hot take, is I think Gio Reyna is going to get every opportunity to make the roster, and I think he's going to make the roster as kind of the last guy in, who again has World Cup experience, mm-hmm. still young and plays well for his country, even if he's not playing at all, if any, for his club. I think he's the guy people kind of need to put their ears up on and be like, hey, this guy, even though he's had a rough couple years, he can still make a difference on this team.
Yeah, I like jokingly I've said he's like our James Rodriguez who just shows up at
Yes,
for the U.S. men's national team. Um, Honestly, like when I look at you're right. There's some player. Obviously, Tyler Adams. You would expect to be here. You expect to see Sergino Dest. Um, I would say like one of those fringe players. I do think Patrick Agyemang becomes the third striker. I think at this point with Josh Sargent, as good as he's been with Norwich, and now he's over there with Toronto FC. Uh, he just doesn't perform well once he puts on that USA shirt. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens to him when he puts the. He's kind of similar to Johnny Cardozo. The only thing about with Johnny Cardozo is you gotta bring him on. Like you can't not have him on the pit, at least on the roster, right? Like
yeah,
regular player for Atletico Madrid. That's not one of those. It's not something that you could just. No one's gonna let you. You're not gonna hear the end of it for not calling up Johnny Cardozo. But
exactly.
But the likes of Josh Sargent, I don't think anybody's gonna lose sleep on Josh Sargent. I think Padre Majerman is probably like the perfect number 3 striker to just have. I mean, maybe you look at I'm drawing the blank on the guy that I think he plays for Coventry.
Haji Wright, he was
Haji,
also an injury guy, and he's interesting too because Poch seemed to like him. I think if I remember correctly, he was injured in the Gold Cup like kind of early group
yeah,
games,
because him and
and then he didn't
Damien
play the
Downs.
rest of the Gold Cup. I think he would have benefited. I mean, anyone would have benefited from not being injured, but I think he really would have played well if he had not gotten injured. Because in the one game I saw, he was really like difference maker at striker when he got in because he can kind of roam to the left, which if you're gonna put Pulisic at center forward and you have a striker playing with him like Milan does, Haji Wright would be a good kind of guy to interchange with
And you talk
Pulisic.
about versatility. Honestly, I hate saying this just because I always love Brendan Aronson's like his determination and grit, even though maybe he doesn't really fall for anything. Like he runs a lot, just doesn't really go anywhere for me. But I mean, if we talk about like a Haji Wright, I could see Haji Wright take that spot from Brendan Aronson. That's just my thought on that one because I feel like Haji Wright brings a little bit more. Plus, he can play on the wing as well, so that adds versatility, similar to Brendan Aronson. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting story. Just to follow everything, I think it's gonna be cool to see them play against Belgium and Portugal. It's gonna be a really good test for them. Obviously, this weekend we're also gonna finally find out who's gonna be that final team in the group.
Yes.
So probably it's gonna be Turkey. Maybe it's gonna be Turkey, which that'll be cool just to see Arda Güler and that very talented Turkey team. In the World Cup. But hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast here to tell you guys about Candidips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Candidips CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. What do you expect to see from the U.S. when it comes to facing off against Belgium and Portugal in these friendlies? Like, are you expecting results, or you're just hoping to see good football being played amongst the players?
I'm expecting a competitive game with good football being played by the US. That they'll have periods because you shouldn't go out there thinking you're going to kind of dominate against Portugal. And we've seen when they've played in friendlies against other teams, like they do sometimes. I do wonder if they score, like if it's a little bit more of a high scoring game, because I think in friendlies it kind of favors the attack because those defenders are like, well, we don't want to, it is a friendly. We don't want to like go in full studs up on you. So I want to see good attacking football from the US. I want to see a couple goals, and I want to just see a system that makes sense. The worry I have is more macro than micro, and this is more outside the friendlies. Is Poch never coached in a World Cup, and when you're coaching in those international tournaments, it's better to play it safe. And I worry he's gonna be like, well, we need to play beautiful football. And it's like, well, we can also sit back, defend, and counter with a pretty good team that can, defend and counter. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm expecting an exciting 2 games. Belgium and Portugal are also fun teams to kind of gauge yourself against. Because
Yeah.
Portugal could be final 8, final 4 team at the World Cup, and then Belgium, they should definitely be round of 16 team.
All right, and this is gonna be my last question for you, Nick. Uh, Noah Kai Banks. Do you feel like are we gonna find out maybe Noah Kai makes a decision before the World Cup if because obviously he opted out. He was gonna get called up for this group, but he did opt out. Now, obviously, him having ties to Germany, he's been been a really good player right now for SC Augsburg. Um, is Germany coming a knocking, and is that the reason why he's hesitant right now for continuing to play for the U.S.?
I think it's weird because it would be weird for Poch to call him up for the World Cup because it's like it's your first kind of intro to the team and intro, and you're basically just calling him up to get cap tied. This is when qualifying does really help because you can kind of cap tie players during qualifying. Um, I do wonder if he'll hold out for Germany. I haven't really done a deep dive on Germany's center backs. I don't think he would make the Germany team either. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I'll wonder, um, I'll wonder to see if he kind of like slow plays this a little bit because you're not going to get called up for Germany, and if maybe he's kind of doing this as a power play to be like, hey, call me up in the big time. But he's still at 19, even though he's playing well in Germany. He's still 19. He's still young, still hasn't played on an international level. So I don't know. I think I do also have a big thing about dual nationals where I do think people kind of overreact to a lot of dual nationals, where it's like even when Flo Balogun chose the U.S., if you had told me like this is what was going to happen and what we were going to get, I would have been a little underwhelmed because it seemed like he was going to be like the best striker we've ever had. And so far, he's been pretty good for club level. He's been decent for the U.S., but it's all people always overrate the unknown. That's why in drafts in North American sports, everyone's like, this guy's the best player since blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I think the whole situation is a little overrated in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. I think, yeah, and I think my argument for the whole Noah Kai Banks decision, I was like, you want to play for a national team that you feel connected to, and I'm not saying that he's not connected to the U.S., but he genuinely did grow up in Germany, was raised by his German mother, so I don't fault him for one. He is German, that's
Mm-hmm.
honestly it's a different story where you have like a Jermaine Jones who chose to play for the U.S. men's national team and was an absolute dog for the U.S. men's national team. You gotta want to be here, and I don't. This isn't like me saying I don't want Noah Kai Banks to play here. I would love a guy, especially what the potential that he has. I would love for him to be playing for the U.S. men's national team. But at the end of the day, like if he wants to play here, that's what I want him. I want him to want to be here. It's the same thing, and I hate picking on the whole French thing because I just think it's unfair how people treat guys that and these guys are in fact French. They just have their families from African countries. It's not that they were born in. I mean, I know there's players that were born in Africa and still chose to play for France, but it comes down to the connection to the country. And I think a lot of those players, most of them maybe had legitimate reasons why they had to leave their nations, and they felt French. They genuinely feel French. They speak French and all those things. And so that's why I'm like, it comes down to how does that player feel? It's like, Diego Luna, prime example, him having to explain himself why he chose USA over Mexico. At the end of the day, it's what these players feel, is what badge they want to wear. This is the only time you get to really pick the badge you get to wear, if the club wants you, they'll sign you.
Mm-hmm.
But if the club wants you, they'll pay a transfer fee, and then you're going to that club. this is the one time that you know, especially now, because we're gonna have multiple dual nationals. Hell, Cristiano Ronaldo's son has multiple countries affiliated with him right now.
Mhm.
He can also play for the U.S. men's national team if he really wanted to. So, like, we're gonna, I believe Thiago Silva's kids, one of them plays for England. So, like,
Whoa.
plays for their youth system. So, like, that just tells you everything. We're gonna have more and more dual nationals. So, especially now these days. So, I think it's there's gonna be guys that are gonna play for their family's home country, and maybe they feel that that's home for them. This is me like poking fun at anybody because I mean, we have a lot of American players that play for El Salvador, and I always say it's hilarious watching them just not being able to sing the national anthem because they can't speak Spanish. So it's just but that's just kind of where we are now. But once again, you choose like regardless of the reason you play for the national team, to me it's irrelevant. Like I don't care if you're choosing it just because there's no one else that's coming knocking. Like Mexico's not calling me, USA's not calling me, so I guess I'll play for El Salvador. Like I can care less what the option is, but at the end of the day, you want to play for that national team and you perform for that national team. And for Noah Kai Banks, take your time, man. Like Germany is stacked with center backs. USA is not like we have a center back issue. So I mean, like he has plenty of time to figure out what national team he wants to play for. And once again, you do have the one-time switch. But I don't think he wants to use that right away, and I totally get that part. So that was just my whole little TED talk for that one there. But Nik, it's always great having you on, man. It's always enjoyable to talk footy with you, and we're gonna be pretty busy this summer.
Definitely
talking a lot of football, but this is your time, man. Tell us where we can find you. Any big articles coming our way from Belly of Sports?
Nik Gable 37 on Twitter X, and then article coming out, is Chelsea more screwed, or is Chelsea in more trouble than Tottenham?
Oof. That's a rough one.
Yes.
But I also thoughts on Arsenal shitting the bed with Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final.
I watched the game. I thought the point of like the field, the pitch is very big in Wembley, and Arsenal can't like shrink the game, and it really does favor Manchester City. I think also like in football, finals are weird, man. Like anybody can really win. It's more akin to like college football and college basketball where it's like neutral site games. Like no one's the home team. Like I know it is in London, but like no one is the home team. So I think those games get weird. And I think there's a lot of anxiety around Arsenal. Every time I have an Everton beanie, and if I wear it around like in public, I'll have people like say something to me. And a lot of the fans, for some reason, in America are Arsenal fans, and they're always like very pessimistic. Their fan base is like one of the more pessimistic fan bases I've ever met because they want it so bad. And this would have almost like, I think winning against Man City would have like really taken all the pressure off. Now it's like 10 times more pressure because they're probably not going to win the Champions League. I mean, they might, but there's too many good teams in the Champions League. They got to win the Premier League.
The pressure is like at an all-time high at Arsenal, and you guys will hear that in a bit as we're gonna have Kelcey come on talk about Champions League, and Arsenal is going to be a discussion. But yeah, like I said, there's a ton of obviously this was recorded before, way after that interview with Kelcey, but I said it. I think there's a lot of pressure for Mikel Arteta. I think this could be, if he can't get a single trophy lift at the end of the season, it's going to be a hard discussion whether or not he should be staying with Arsenal.
Definitely, yeah. It's going to be interesting.
And that's not taking anything away from him. I think he's still a really good manager, but clearly just not the guy that can take you to that final spot, which is an unfortunate because he's done such a great job with Arsenal, by the way. But it is what it is, kind of when it comes down to it. But Nik, always a pleasure, man. Make sure you guys check him out. Make sure you guys read that article about Chelsea. I'm always going to be interested to see just another London team just be struggling because, makes me feel better about myself. But Nik, it's always a pleasure, man. And we're going to have a real fun summer.
Yes, sir.
I love soccer, Peggy.
All right, guys. We have our super sub, Kelcey Coyne of High Low Sports, joining us as he always does, talking about something that we have a strong connection with, and that is, of course, Champions League, because we just are forever going to be just tied to Champions League. With you know what, F it, just play the clip
for Timo Werner to finally break out. However, he has played 37 matches all year between the Premier League and Champions League for Chelsea, and he has a whopping total of 8 goals.
But maybe with Porto, all of a sudden he'll be the hero. He'll be the one to bag in, like, let's say in both matches, 5 goals.
No, that is a very good point. Now, I do just want to point out, if he does happen to score 5 goals over 2 matches, he will have tied his output from the Premier League alone this season. But if he does manage to score 5 goals over 2 games, I mean, that Chelsea obviously would have a fantastic turn of events, and, well, maybe we finally saw the comeuppance of Timo Werner. Going straight into it, we'll get into the predictions now, guys.
I'll give it to Porto. 2-0.
Timo Werner's about to score 5 goals in 2 games.
but not in the first leg.
But not in the first leg. No. He's going to have Porto winning 2-0 in the first leg.
Play the clip. So
the clip that never dies.
It will never die. Edward's gonna hate me so much because he already got mad that we played the clip last time Kelcey was on. So
sorry, Edward. For what it's worth, sorry.
You want play it again
for Timo Werner to finally break out. However, he has played 37 matches all year between the Premier League and Champions League for Chelsea, and he has a whopping total of 8 goals.
But maybe with Porto, all of a sudden he'll be the hero. He'll be the one to bag in, like, let's say in both matches, 5 goals.
No, that is a very good point. Now, I do just want to point out, if he does happen to score 5 goals over 2 matches, he will have tied his output from the Premier League alone this season. But if he does manage to score 5 goals over 2 games, I mean, that Chelsea obviously would have a fantastic turn of events, and, well, maybe we finally saw the comeuppance of Timo Werner. Going straight into it, we'll get into the predictions now, guys.
I'll give it to Porto. 2-0.
Timo Werner's about to score 5 goals in 2 games.
but not in the first leg.
But not in the first leg. No. He's going to have Porto winning 2-0 in the first leg.
One more time. Just
one more time. Just
the next 30 minutes of the show is just going to be the clip on repeat.
It will never die. It will never die. Never will it die. Shout out to San Jose, though. They look really good so far. So
no hat trick, but yeah, sure, they look good so far.
But yeah, round of 16 Champions League has concluded. Kelcey, I just gotta say, is there any, before we even get into the nitty gritty about the round of 16, if there was a phrase that you would say for this round of 16, what would it be?
Ouch. I think one word for ouch is all I got. Is there was a lot of blowouts. That was just how I've looked at this. Is overall didn't feel as competitive as it's felt in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, especially when there was some matchups that you thought oh, this is gonna be a good one, and yeah, they're not good, and I don't think anything went as accordingly. But yes, stop, they're already dead is probably the one that I would think of when it comes, because there's a lot of blowouts into it.
This is where you put the gif of the kid poking the horse with a stick. Mm-hmm. Do something.
Yeah.
This was ugly.
Yeah. And we'll go right into it. We got the first one, and we're going to go to Kelcey's favorite club, Liverpool, yes, who beat Galatasaray 4-1 on aggregate. It was a 1-0 loss for Liverpool in the first leg, which was, I believe, was in Turkey. Mm-hmm. And then, once again, it's another day in Anfield. This is what it appears to be, and I believe it's still pretty cold over there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, a 4-0 shellacking. What was it about that first leg? What was it about just make it interesting?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Liverpool, but it feels like in home and home games, it just feels like in those matchups when it's not Anfield, they don't care. If Anfield's the second game, they're it feels like the first game, they're all right, 1-0 we can lose. Maybe we can lose 2-0, but let's just 1-0 it, and then we got this at home. I mean, Fortress Anfield is a thing for a reason. It's not a mystery. Yeah, sure, it's lost some of its luster over the last couple years, but I mean, it's a reason Liverpool has as many championships as they do in actually really any Champions League championship. So yeah, I mean, the first leg was rough. I mean, Galatasaray is not some scrubs in the grand scheme of the world, but in Champions League play, they're not the best a competition you could have been up against. And I think for Liverpool, when you're seeing that, sometimes you have that little bit of a I'm gonna play to my opponent situation in the first matchup just to see what happens. And I think that's what you saw in game 1. Game 2 was a much different conversation, though. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're Liverpool. We paid a bunch of money for our front line, and let's go see what they can do. And they did that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things that Liverpool seems to do there every Champions League, where game 1 away is meh. Game 2 at home, it's like, oh yeah, there they are. Surprise.
Yeah, I think when you're Galatasaray, it's the meme from Avengers, right? The you should have gone for the head moment. Like, all right,
yeah.
you got the victory against Liverpool, but 1-0 going into Anfield is not a safe lead. Like it's just not. It's not going to be. You're practically going 0-0 in the way you look at it. So
well, and when you talk the away goal rule too, that makes it even more crucial. Like if this was a 1-1 game, like a 1-1 matchup for some reason, you're going to have to try to score a goal at Anfield in that crowd. And that just feels like a tough ask for anybody. It's like, it almost feels like if you don't beat Liverpool 2 or more away, like on your own home ground, it's hard to shut them down when they go to Anfield.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what it is. But yeah, no, I think Liverpool handled their business. For people that are hoping that Xabi Alonso was going to be taking the Liverpool job anytime soon, I think Arne Slot, I think he's very safe. I don't know why.
I think he's good. Yeah.
I think he's good. I don't know. I know that the league isn't going as great as they were hoping it to be, especially after winning the Prem his first year. But still, you're still in the Champions League, and I think if you're a Liverpool supporter, I think you're still okay with what Arne Slot is doing over there, even though honestly he was inherited a great team. So
yeah. It's just at this point he is revamping a team that was really good, and he's now creating it into his own likeness, which is never going to be easy. But to do it, first couple years with the team, you've already won the Prem. Now you're going to go and try to make a run at the Champions League. Like, okay, I can survive if I'm a coach. Like, yeah, I'll keep this thing going. I'll just add my couple pieces here, and that's never easy. You have aging out players like Virgil van Dijk. Will he be there? Will he not be there? Alisson will he be there? Will he not be there? Mo is Mo going to be there forever? Or is Mo not? Obviously, he did resign an extension. So, but it's also those questions like, where do these guys fit in with the Cody Gakpos, the Fabian Wirtzes, the Kites? Like, where do they all fit in at, right? And that's where it'll always be. And like you look at the left right back situation. Trent's gone, Andy's in and out with health. So can those guys step up? And you have Joe Gomez starting in some Champions League matches, which thank goodness for him, he's still around. But how much longer is he going to be around with the team? Are we going to get rid of Virgil and Joe at the same time and go with the brand new second line or back line if you have to? Like, that's kind of where we're at with Liverpool, where you don't really know what's to be expected in the future, but everything is still changing, still in flux, still integrated. So getting this far, you kind of feel like, all right, I can live with that.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll go into the next one, and it was just kind of similar. First leg, surprisingly narrow than we thought, and that was Barcelona handling business with Newcastle United, an 8-3 on aggregate. But the first leg was a 1-1 draw, and then going into that second leg, Barcelona's high octane attack was very much in full play. Did I think Newcastle was going to be a good matchup against this high line? No, because I don't think they have the pace that could expose the high. I mean, they have height. Height is definitely what they have over there at Newcastle, but the pace, which if anybody knows about when it comes to the high line, if you can time your passes right and you have a speed demon of an attacker, like you're going to be able to make Barcelona pay. So but that all comes in with the strategy and how you prepare for it. Barcelona, you can say what you want, but people can have their doubts about the high line, but it's Flick ball. Hansi Flick is going to play what he plays, and it is going to be living and dying off that high line. And this is the results you get when the high line is being done well and done correctly. You're going to get these 7-2 results.
Yeah, this is crazy, right? Game one. And we both talked about this before with Barcelona, especially Real Madrid, you being a Madrid fan. That's something Madrid has to take into mind when they come into the El Clasico. You have to come into a perspective of, we got to beat a high line, which it's like, yes, it's Hansi Flick ball, but at the same time, this is also still Barcelona. Barcelona has always had this type of defensive mindset where their defense is just controlling the ball, so the line is going to be pushed. And so you always need to be able to take advantage of it. Real Madrid has that ability with their players. But like you said, Newcastle is very much a equally ball control and then beat you on a set piece. That's how they're set up. And sure, let's not kid ourselves. They still scored against Barcelona 3 times. That's not an easy thing to do. And you scored twice at Camp Nou. It's like, all right, well, you can't complain about their total performance offensively, but defensively, it's like you do have to do something eventually. This is again, go back to the horse with the stick. Like, do something. You're poking your defense. Like, please, anytime, goalkeeper, somebody help somebody. Get a red card if you have to. Like, I don't care. Just somebody stop the bleeding, because it was not happening. Nobody seemed to want to stop the bleeding for Newcastle. And yeah, that was just rough overall. It's hard to watch that sometimes, where you're just like, I wish anything else would have happened in that game. But yeah, game one's always good, but it's not about game one Champions League play.
Yeah, leg one, the first leg, it's going to be a tone setter, obviously. You think you're a Newcastle fan, you're like a 1-1 draw. And I think also kind of Barcelona, it's also with the way they play with the high line. If you're not able to expose that, if you get a chance to get a lead on them or get some goals on them, you got to take full advantage, man. A 1-1 draw is not what you want to go into the Camp Nou with. It's just a whole different, especially because the Camp Nou is back, right? They've been playing away from Camp Nou since they've been doing renovations, and now they're back, and the Barca fans are going to be very much there in present and everything. As a Liverpool fan, I'm sure you are fully aware of that.
Oh yeah, hey, it happens. It works, but it doesn't. And some places it's renowned for their homestand. Some places there's not. And the problem with Camp Nou, when you walk in as a visitor, the whole thing's the homestand. It's not like you have one single grandstand in Camp Nou. It is literally the entire arena, except for a small portion up near the top of the rafters that is away fans. Like, everything else is going to be Barcelona. So you got to go in with, I think it's like 95,000 people sitting there screaming at you. Yeah, that's tough to do, especially when it comes to football conversations. It's not something every team is ready for, and you'd think somebody like Newcastle could be prepared for it, but it is intimidating no matter which way you cut it, because it's blue, red, blaugrana, all across the board. So you got to have to battle that some way defensively, like in your mindset, but it doesn't always work. And
to be fair, you're Newcastle. This is all new to them. This is
current new, like current Newcastle, oil money Newcastle. This is brand new for you. Yeah. Old Newcastle, this is okay. You've been here, like Joe Cole era Newcastle. You've been here, but it's been a while.
It's been a while for Newcastle.
The USA wasn't getting Champions League matches every week when Newcastle was playing in the Champions League.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn from them. It would honestly, had they played anybody else, maybe we would be talking a different conversation with Newcastle. Especially because once again, with their height, set pieces are just going to be very, very easy for them. But if you're not able to get any progression with the ball, especially with this high line, it's just not going to go well for you. And 7-2 is the prime example of just not going to go well for you. And that's just point blank, man. But yeah, moving on. Atletico Madrid, and I enjoyed this thoroughly, even though I'm not an Atletico Madrid fan at all. But I do hate Tottenham more than anything else in this world. I think I hate seeing Tottenham win more than I hate seeing Real Madrid lose. That just tells you everything. But yeah, so Atletico Madrid 7-5. First leg was a 5-2 win, and then that second leg was actually a 3-2 win for Tottenham, but they were just not going to be able to catch up on the aggregate, especially with the way Atletico Madrid has been scoring.
Yeah, this game was well. First of all, this matchup I think was probably the most exciting scoring matchup we had. Like overall, I think quality wise with the scoring, I think it was good. But yeah, it's. Again, this kind of goes in the same conversation with Atletico. You have a lot of speed, a lot of agility, a lot of movement from the front line. It's a very mobile front line. Tottenham's defense is not the most mobile defense. So you got to eventually somebody's got to step up, and Atletico's defense was much better than Tottenham's defense overall, and the offense for Atletico was equally as good. And so that's where if you're Tottenham, you got to stop playing Premier League ball occasionally. And sometimes I feel like they get caught in this situation where they play too much like it's a Premier League Wednesday night. Nighttime, muddy, kind of gross fields. You're just trying to get out 1-0, 2-0, call it swell. And in Europe, you can't really get away with that anymore. You're going to get beat too quick. And while game one was an absolute demolishment from Atletico, Tottenham figured it out at home, but they didn't figure it out enough. Like you had a lot of work to do, and you gave up 2 goals at home. So
yeah, definitely. I think with Atletico Madrid, plus, Adamoah Lookman, great addition to that team. I'm also shocked that it's not an Argentine that Diego Simeone pursued. He went after the Nigerian, but maybe it's
a very good Nigerian.
Serie A, maybe it was a Serie A influence that came into play for Diego. But no, great addition. This tackle is great. Obviously, I think the rumors actually died down about the whole Orlando City move for Antoine Griezmann, but now they just suddenly reappeared again. So who's to say what's going to happen? I do think it's going to be an after the World Cup signing, not a him leaving now signing, because Atletico Madrid is in the final for the Copa del Rey. Maybe not so much in competition for La Liga, and they're on to the next round of the Champions League. So there's still so much to play for, and I don't think Antoine Griezmann is necessarily going to leave the club right now, especially when he's been such a big part of this season.
Yeah, he's a big part of their trophies, a big part of them being as successful they have been the last few years. And yeah, I'm with you. We talked about this ad nauseum, last time I was on, where is he going to the MLS? Probably. We can expect him to go to the MLS one day. Is that day before the World Cup? Probably not. It's got to be a lot of assurances for him to be there before the World Cup. Also, I'd say even after the World Cup, it's maybe a question mark. But I think if he can lift a trophy in his final season, or in this season, let's say lift multiple trophies potentially, I think it does open the conversation for he probably does move sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's hard to say he wants. First of all, I don't think he ever wants to walk away from Atletico if he can help it. I think he wants the opportunity to play in the U.S., but it's can you make an Atletico Orlando for me to go play for? Because I don't think he really wants to leave the family that he's, grown with Atletico Madrid. And I know you're a Real fan, but at the same time, this is a born and bred kid where he was literally adopted by Atletico Madrid, and that's where he's made his life at.
He's so Atletico Madrid that he just didn't fit with Barcelona.
Yeah,
and you would think he'd be a perfect fit for Barcelona, and it just didn't work out. And then it goes back to Atletico Madrid, and it just seems so fluid. With him
smooth. He's one of those guys. You just got to give him the comp. And I think he's one of those guys we talked about before, where he's the guy that just needs the opportunities to make the mistakes and still have confidence in them. With Barcelona, it's Barcelona. You don't make mistakes, otherwise you ride the pine. And with Atletico, it's still, I don't want to say baby brother, but in La Liga, they do try to treat them like baby brother, where they're the third wheel in every situation. And you can afford to make mistakes, but you can also afford to go for the beautiful stuff, the fun stuff, the exciting, and you can be yourself. And I think that's something with him we talked about, where he's a guy that needs to be able to be himself, and Barcelona isn't necessarily that place.
Exactly. But yeah, Atletico Madrid handling their business with Tottenham. Tottenham's season is just looking worse and worse by the minute. You know, you hate to see it. You hate to see a club go down this downward spiral.
Do you? Do you specifically?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm enjoying every minute of it. I hope they get relegated.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't want to play in their toilet bowl
that might be
stadium either.
when they finally are able to win a league title, is when they go down to the championship. So who knows?
Boy, well, that's some fighting words right there. Oof.
That would be so hilarious if they get promoted without winning the league title. If they get relegated, it's like, damn,
get relegated.
You can't even win the fucking championship. Like, Jesus Christ, what a fucking joke.
Man, the London hate runs deep.
Do not give me that opening. Do not give me that opening, Tottenham. Please don't. I'm like, already people don't like me. Tottenham fans don't like me as it is. Like, don't give me more reasons to not be liked. So,
if you ever need anything to go to the well, just never forget their stadium looks like a toilet seat. If that doesn't tell you enough about how they perform, it literally looks like a toilet seat.
Yeah, that's true. And then what they used to play? They were playing in Wimbledon at one point, right? Were they?
Yeah. Not Wimbledon. Not Wembley. The new Olympic Stadium. They were so Aston Villa ended up getting it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was the opening ceremony where the Olympic Stadium was for the opening ceremony.
That's what I remember now. But yeah, so you'll probably great venue for NFL games, right? So
it's the only winning that happens in that stadium.
Moving on, man. Talking about this is probably the worst lead, like the biggest deficit, like goal differential of all the matches, and that is once again just Vincent Kompany and his boys in Bayern Munich. They're the best team in the Champions League. This is right now downright the best team in the Champions League. Like it's Bayern Munich. They're honestly one of the more complete teams in the Champions League, also in the Bundesliga, but that's not really saying much. But like they are just a complete team. Backline solid. Manuel Neuer. Some people are talking about maybe he should retire. I don't know that. I don't know the way he's playing lately. That midfield, very good as well. The attack. I mean, Luis Diaz has just been a revelation. Like he's always been a revelation. It's just that now Harry Kane's got more service, and Harry Kane's looking more and more like literally England's greatest attacker of all time. At least it seems like it with the way this Bayern Munich team looks. And they beat the crap out of Atalanta 10-2, which now is official. There's no Italian teams in the Champions League now. They are all eliminated. And who would have thought it would have been Atalanta that would have been leading the front in Italy? But here we are. It's a 10-2 deficit in aggregate. First leg was a 6-1 loss. Second leg wasn't any better, 4-1.
Ow. This one is like the simplest one to talk about because it's just literally ow. And on top of that, you mentioned Neuer. He hasn't even been playing in these two matches. It was
that's
Urbig.
Absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
It was Urbig in both matches. He's played 9 matches all season. He's like, I don't know. I think technically they're third stringer, but also he's not.
Didn't they have to bump up a U16 player?
Yeah, to play a league game. Yeah. So he had to get special permission through the labor board for Germany to be able to even play that late. It's a whole thing. It's like, but he didn't actually play. So he was actually on the roster, but yeah, he didn't actually play that game. But yeah, Urbig has been the guy that's filled in, and I mean, at this point in time, we always jokingly we've all heard the cliche: the best defense is a great attack. I think this is Vincent Kompany's mentality. It's even though he's a defender, he's straight up saying, I don't care if we defend at all. Just go score 17 goals and we'll force them to make the mistakes. Because that's realistically what it is. I don't know. It feels like when you're playing FIFA and you just have that out, you're way better than your friend who has never played FIFA before in his life. He's a Madden guy. And you're just like, running up and down the pitch on him.
You're just on your side. You're just on their side of the field.
You're running it to your own corner flag to hold it just because you're tired of scoring goals because it's 32-1. Like, this is what the type of mentality it is for.
And the one was an own goal?
Yeah, exactly. You scored on yourself because you got bored and you missed the rondo or something. Like, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than, like, agree with you to say that, yes, they're the best team in the Champions League. I'd probably say they're the best club team right now in the world right now. But this is why you play the matches. We'll see going forward. But yeah, I don't know who you're going to stop if you're going to try to stop Bayern going forward, because right now you make one choice. Like, are we going to stop the fallen back number 9 Harry Kane, or is Harry Kane going to lead our strike line from the front like he has been, or what are we going to do? Because he can drop back and fill forward just as well, and now you got 2 strikers on either side of him that are actual strikers and not just really fast guys. So, and then on top of that, you got Leon Goretzka destroying people. I don't know. It's been an incredible situation for Bayern, and I've said my piece about Vincent Kompany where I didn't think he was a great coach. I apologize, Vincent Kompany. That is my moment I'm going to take back, because
I mean, I still take my stance as a guy that, like, this guy literally took his team Burnley, which I know Burnley isn't necessarily the easiest club. I'm not saying
right.
it should win.
That was like an impossible situation, but then he went from that to this.
Like, you're talking about literally legitimately failing upwards. Like, you know, like
it feels like he's that guy, and I think we talked about this before when he got the job, which is it feels like he's a coach, a manager. We talk about it in American football where we talk about a player's coach, a Joe's and Smo's coach. That's what Vincent Kompany is. I don't know what he spits in the water, what he does to just get people ready to play, but it is straight fire and ice coming out of these guys' blood, out of these guys' veins every time they step foot on the pitch, and you just have to sit back and watch it. Even if you're not a fan of Bayern, it's still something amazing to watch. And unlike a lot of bad games we watch nowadays, this is like when they're on TV, it is kind of must-see TV because you're gonna see pure attack, and that's the best part about it. And I don't know. It is wild to see, and I hate tooting Bayern's horn because I'm so tired of them being the front runner in the Bundesliga. But it's like credit where credit is due.
I mean, once again, it goes back down to the resources, and maybe if there was just that one team that finally just said no to Bayern Munich,
Yeah.
you know,
Looking
like
at you, Dortmund, like stop being a feeder club.
you know, like maybe someone's just like, you know what, we're done giving you our best player.
Yeah.
You know, like, but we'll see what happens, man. But Bayern Munich, yeah, I think right now, I think they're probably the heavy favorites right now with who's left. Honestly, and I can't take anything away. Yeah, I think look, I said what I said about Vincent Kompany, but once again, he does have standard. He has expectations. We saw the video, the video clip of him chewing out a Burnley player because he just wasn't giving it all on the practice pitch. Like, he is a former captain. He knows what it means to be a player. And I mean, you can say what you want about his time at Manchester City, but I believe he was very well. I mean, I'm sure he was there during the oil money, but when things weren't working out,
he was before the oil money too.
Yeah. So I mean, like he was there when it was what was it? No, not Pellegrino. Pellegrino was there at one point in Man City, but Mancini, he was there when Mancini was there. You know, because remember, things didn't click as well at Manchester City till certain managers came in, but and then more smarter decisions with the player signings. But Vincent Kompany knows what a good product on the field looks like and what happens when everybody's in line. And maybe Burnley was just one of those issues. Like, you know, we could talk about Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid. Maybe the tactician route wasn't what Real Madrid needs. They need a guy that can work around with all the egos that are in the locker room. Not saying that that's Arbeloa. But, you know, kind of like an Ancelotti, right? Ancelotti was kind of that combination of good tactician, but at the same time knew how to keep the locker room flowing.
Yeah.
And he's proven it in multiple clubs where he's had multiple personalities. But, you know, Vincent Kompany, he goes into Bayern Munich. He's not there to be this tactical wizard. He's not Pep Guardiola. And funny enough, Pep Guardiola did manage Bayern Munich once upon a time. But he's there because he's a player, and a lot of guys respect him as a player, and they're not going to not listen to him. And, I mean, the way this team is playing, it shows.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I mean, it's just one of those things where you just look at him and you're like, you're defying what you did before, which is great for you going forward. But also just, it begs the question of now you're kind of also setting an unfair standard for any future player managers to come in, because it's like, okay, you felled your way up and now you're succeeding way above expectations. And now the next player manager that fails, it's like, well, are they going to be the next Vincent Kompany? Like, all right, here we go again. But, you know, I'm glad for him because honestly, through all the City players that ever rolled through the doors, he's probably one of them that I'm like, you frustrated me, but I don't hate you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see him succeed. But man, I feel embarrassed almost for any of their opponents right now, and it's gonna be tough going forward.
Yeah, we'll see who they have facing off against.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see who that is.
I know. I know who the fuck they are. Next matchup is Arsenal beating Bayer Leverkusen 3-1. Honestly, it's just overwhelming watching Arsenal play, man. Like the 1-1 draw, and I talked about it with John. Like if John from Pitch Grid, like if Arsenal doesn't beat Bayer Leverkusen, do we now label, and no offense to Kelcey, but do we label like, hey, finishing on top of the Champions League stage, is that really an important thing? Because same thing with Liverpool. I think Liverpool just got a very unfair situation where, and this is my opinion. I think especially when we're talking about the play-in, that little playoff round, no team from the same league should be playing against each other.
Yeah,
like they're doing a drawing anyways, which is like, because I mean, if it was just like, oh, this is where you finish and you're just the other team you're playing against is just no, that's not what they're doing. It's literally doing a draw to see who plays who. And I mean, PSG literally just went and beat the brakes off of Lille, and then and now you have to go in against Liverpool, but they have like all right now at an all-time vibes where they're like, yeah, we could beat anybody. We're PSG, and that's just kind of what it came down to it. But Arsenal, a 1-1 draw in the first leg, and then 2-0 victory in the second leg. First of all, give props to Bayer Leverkusen. You talk about a team that lost a lot of players, lost their manager, and they're still in the champion. They were still in the Champions League. Don't really think they're doing too great in the Bundesliga right now, but a team that lost a lot of resources, and on top of that, one of their players is playing for Arsenal on loan. So like for them, honestly, to come out and not in smallest goal deficit amongst all of them is this one.
Yeah.
So if you're an Arsenal supporter, like, are you worried going into that next round, knowing that is this really what they're going to do against teams that honestly they probably should be beating?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. Because of their matchup in the next round, I think it's somebody who can. I think it's a matchup that will scare them. I think it can, like all things, it will show the gaps through Arsenal's defense. And I think that's something that, while it's been good, it's hard to say any one piece of Arsenal has been great this year. It's been very good across the board. There's been good parts every single week. Other parts let you down. It's like no other, It reminds me of the Arsene Wenger days where they're a really good team, but they could never put it together. The difference is they could never put it together in one day or even have really good spots in one day to carry the load. Nowadays, they have a lot of good spots that carry the load for them and get them through, but then you get a 2-0 victory that looks easy in some cases. But the 1-1 draw did not look easy for Arsenal. And I think that's a tough thing with them. They're so hit or miss about, is this going to be a good day for Arsenal? Is this going to be the day that they succeed, or is this going to be the day that they draw an egg? Is it going to look like Nicholas Bentner is up front again? Because that's what it looked like in leg one, whereas leg two, it's like, oh yeah, we can score, guys. But yeah, I mean, it's scary going forward for sure.
And for reference, right now they did lose the Carabao Cup final to Manchester City. Manchester City looking very much the better team, the stronger side. They had the more opportunities. They had the ball for a majority of the time. And, if you were thinking about the table in the Premier League, you would think it's Man City that's on top just looking at the way they were playing versus Arsenal that just didn't go after it. They didn't they just didn't play.
No energy.
Even the crowd even the Arsenal supporters weren't even as energetic. So and once again the pressure is on for Mikel Arteta. Like, this could be the year that you get sacked.
Yeah.
Not saying that you are, but like you're just the bridesmaid, never the bride. It seems like you can get you won the FA Cup. I'm not trying to take that away from him, especially with whatever that team that he had that year when they won the FA Cup. But still, you're having multiple years where you have nothing to show for how good this Arsenal team is supposed to be, and they are honestly. This is probably one of the more stacked Arsenal teams that Arsenal has had in years, and I'm not trying to take that away from them. But at some point, something needs to be lifted by the end of the season. Carabao Cup, Man City were the underdogs.
Yeah,
Man City were underdogs in that final, and it looked like it should have been the other way around. Like Arsenal looked like they were the team that was like, oh man, I don't know if I can take this team on. And you still have to face them in the Premier League. You still have to face them one more time. And, now the conversation is going to be, is Arsenal going to bottle? Is Arsenal going to bottle it up? And it's not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when people think about this Arsenal side with Mikel Arteta. And he's done so many great things. I'm not trying to take anything away from Arteta. But you got to give some. We got to see something at some point. And not at some point. It's not at some point. It's this year. If you can't win the Prem, the Carabao Cup, depending on who you ask, like these are things that we need to see from Arsenal. And I mean, if you can win the Champions League, I think all Arsenal fans will be forever like, who cares what happened in the Prem? Who cares about what happened in the Carabao Cup? But this is to me it is a make or break a year for Mikel Arteta. I think he needs to win a trophy. If he doesn't, I just don't see how Arsenal will keep him on board.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, right now you're 9 points clear in the league, and you look to be a front runner. I mean, you should be a front runner. There's no question about this anymore. And the FA Cup tied fans over for a few years, but you can't expect that to carry you like Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger was a god as far as how he was revered by the fans, and it's understandable. He put together some of the best teams you ever saw, and yeah, sure, it may not have been the brightest trophy system of anybody's career, but he was understood to be the best manager available anywhere for a long time other than Sir Alex. So you're not going to be that. You have to recognize that, which means you need to win more trophies than him, which means you need to pull one of the two this year, whether it's Prem, whether it's Champions League. I would even say if you can win the Prem and come in third or second in the Champions League, so finish in a semifinal or a finals, even if you don't lift the trophy in the Champions League, I think you're fine. But just to show that you've taken that next step is, I think, their next situation where he needs to cross that bridge. And he's got 7 matches left in the Prem, 9 points clear. Feels like you can easily get that, but it's got to be one or the other. And I hate ever putting that on a coach, but it feels like we're at that point now with him where it's just, what's the problem anymore? We don't know, because it's not going to, ownership is never going to say it's us. So next on the list is managers. And I don't think you can continue this whole will he, won't he every year, even though it's been, in our memory, outside of the Invincibles year, this has been some of the best Arsenal football we've seen. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say that, like, we're talking about a coach here who could lose his job despite turning around what has been a recently awful Arsenal team until he got there. And I don't know, it's tough, but it is the reality of the situation, especially when you have Liverpool with their rotation of coaches since Klopp coming in, winning titles. You have Man City's domination. You even have the one random year where Man United decided to show up and then disappear again. And then you have Chelsea that's dominant. Like, you're supposed to be there. You're the 4th team, Arsenal. And right now you're the 5th team looking outside and looking at everybody else based on trophies. And that's not how Arsenal should be.
Leicester City has a more recent trophy.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah, I mean, it is crazy to me. There's 4 teams that, you always were like, these are the big 4 for the Prem, and Arsenal was always one of them until 2011. And then it's felt like Man City has pushed them out. Mm-hmm. And that's sad. It is sad to see. I mean, I do kind of miss an actual London derby that mattered, but I haven't seen one of those in a while.
No, yeah, and I mean, it's going to be really telling of how Arsenal responds to this. Like, I mean, they're out of the Carabao. I mean, the Carabao Cup is over. They're eliminated. I do think they're still in the Champions League. I'm not Champions League. I mean, obviously they're in Champions League. And I think they're still in it for the FA Cup. But like I said, man, they need to win a trophy. They need to win a trophy, regardless of what it is. I mean, the fans need to have a reason why Mikel Arteta is still here. They can't keep coming up short, man. And the energy needs to be high, man. I understand the injuries and all that, and that sucks. But this is why this is what makes the season even more impressive. Is despite that all, the mentality of this team, the next man up guy. That's what makes these teams truly special. And we'll see what happens, man. Like I really hope Arsenal could prove me wrong, man, because someone that has been, having a soft spot for this club for so many years, and you can thank Thierry Henry for that, by the way. Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira. You can thank those two guys specifically for why I even decided to like Arsenal. So yeah, like this is what they need to do, man, because it's at some point it's either get off the pot or
Yeah. By the way, they are still in the FA Cup. The next match is on the 4th against Southampton.
We'll see what happens, man. We'll see how that game turns out.
I mean, but but it has to be something. Like you can't. I don't think the FA Cup's going to qualify him for keeping his job for another year. I think that's the big thing. I think you have to. It's got to be one of the big. You're leading the Prem, and you were the first overall in league table for the Champions League. You got to bring one of them home.
Yeah, and I mean now we can't say that's a curse to finish first, or to go undefeated. So I mean,
there you go.
There's that.
I mean, they are the only undefeated team so far. Yeah,
they are. All right, the next matchup is the Moussa Bowl. If you guys don't know, Moussa from Mo Football TV. He went through PSG's academy system, and then he of course also supports Chelsea. And yeah, we had the Moussa Bowl, and one team showed up. Maybe it's not the team that. And it's funny because you're talking about two different spectrums, right? Of like teams of how they're acquiring their players. One will realize, hey, just throwing money at everything hasn't really been working out for us. I mean, we literally threw money at Messi, and well, that didn't pan out as great as we thought it was. So how about we start being a little bit smarter with who we bring into the team? They took a flyer on Dembele, right? Dembele, who everybody was just like, he's a great player. He just gets hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Healthiest season he ever had, and we all know how that ended for him. So, Dembele pans out perfectly. Desiree Doué, most of us probably didn't even know who he was until last year. And then still to be I would argue probably the best signing in January ever, and that is getting Kvaratskhelia.
Yes.
And on top of that, going after Vitinho, a guy that didn't even break the starting 11 for Wolves.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
And he becomes one of their most important pieces in the midfield.
Yeah. It's been impressive. I mean, it's hard to look at what PSG's been doing and
probably the most no-duh signing from them is Nuno Mendes, and that was probably like the no-duh, let's go get him.
Yeah, it was like, oh, hey, we got the money. Let's just, why would we not? It's on top of all that. You got Pacho playing quality minutes for this squad, and that's somebody coming up through your academy. Which, let's not kid ourselves. PSG has one of the best academies of all time.
Moussa.
They have always had that, but it is one of those things where to change the mindset of a front office as quick as they did from, you know what, Neymar, Messi's, Mbappe's, that's not working for us. Let's scratch that idea, sell them all. Let them all go. Let their contracts expire. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of young kids and that we're going to bring them in, We're going to pay their squads to bring them in, and we're going to make them successful. We're going to change the entire mindset around what is football right now. And, even if there were question marks with Luis Enrique's system for how long it can last. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, I think at this point you can say it's going to work to some degree because he's making changes even within himself of how he's managing games. And it's something that he hadn't been doing before. And that was when they won a Champions League. And now you're like making changes that now you're keeping teams. I mean, Chelsea looked baffled by what PSG was doing. And it's not like they were doing anything really unique to PSG if you watched them all year.
You would have thought PSG was the team that spent billions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. You would have thought, well, I mean, they spent a lot, but it wasn't that much, And yeah, it is crazy, though, just to look at it and you're like, especially Chelsea with how they've been performing. Chelsea has been performing well, but it's not been at the right times, it feels like. And PSG just, belt to something.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one has anything vulgar yet. But yeah, no, PSG. I mean, they just very quiet in the first half, very quiet in the first half of the season. Obviously injuries were kind of the main reason why, but still on top of the league, still on top of League One as far as I know, and maybe not the team you want to face off in any of these rounds, just because. It's just the way this team plays, and I think, one, they're a good embodiment of Luis Enrique, who I think is definitely a great coach. Maybe hoping that Real Madrid could lure him. Do I see that happening? Probably not. But
that word maybe was carrying a lot of weight in that sentence.
Yeah, it carried a lot. It was carrying a lot of weight. A lot of hopes. Don't think it's happening, but
it's okay. You got to beat oil money, and I don't know if you guys can do that just yet.
No, not Parliament money isn't oil money. So,
although I mean, not for Spain, not currently, but maybe a couple years back.
Yeah, we'll see. Next matchup is Sporting Lisbon, who beat everybody's lovable team, Bodo Glimt. It was a 5-3.
Yeah,
5-3 on aggregate. First leg was a 3-0 victory for Bodo Glimt. Everyone thinking, oh, it's happening again. Someone else just can't have an answer to Bodo Glimt. And this is a run that is going back from the last two matches of the league stage. Beating the likes of Manchester City and Atletico Madrid. Beating, Inter Milan?
Mm-hmm.
To get here. And of all of them, who would have thought it'd be Lisbon? Who would have thought Lisbon would have come in that second leg with a 5-0 victory? Yeah, I mean, Sporting Lisbon, obviously, pretty decent side. I think they're still competing for the top spot in Portugal, though I think right now it's still very heavily favored to Porto.
I think so.
If I'm correct. So Sporting Lisbon, I mean, they're still here. It's crazy to think that we have a Portuguese side more than we have an Italian side here in the Champions League, but here we are. But it would have been even crazier to have a Norwegian side in the quarterfinals. But the Cinderella story is officially over for Bodo Glimt. And I mean, props to them, man. Like, to be here and then not have any matches, like, their season's over.
Yeah.
Like, they're off. Like, they're literally just training for Champions League. That's all they've been doing. I'm sure they're playing, like, random friendlies just to keep things competitive in some sense. But to be in this competition, your season's over, and yeah, now you can enjoy your off season, Bodo Glimt. You can finally rest and prepare for your next season for the Norwegian League.
Yeah, fair for the World Cup for some of these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a fun experience, right? You get this with one team every year. But Sporting Lisbon is still Portugal. There's still the Portuguese. There's always a Portuguese team, it feels like, that gets to the quarterfinals. We're used to seeing a Porto or a Benfica. But Sporting Lisbon is still a really quality side. And let's not forget, anybody who wants to talk about who's the GOAT, Messi or Ronaldo, one of those two did come from Sporting Lisbon and helped develop their entire academy squad with his insane amount of money he has. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at Lisbon and think they're going to be a question mark going forward. I mean, like, the fact that Glimt brought won 3-0 in the first leg shocked me. It just didn't look like, I was like, what just happened? But also it was played in Norway the first leg, and the pitch supposedly was frozen. So we'll see how that actually changed things.
Frozen.
Yeah. But yeah, they use AstroTurf, which we all know how much non-American players, well, actually every soccer player I know hates. But yeah, I mean, it is what, you got to play the team that's in front of you, and Lisbon decided in game 2, it's like, hey, by the way, we can still do this. 5-0 at home. Here we go. Buckle up your seatbelt. So it's going to be fun going forward. Unfortunately for Lisbon, I mean, it's which team do you want to get matched up against, right? I don't think any of the teams that are remaining would be like I don't think they'd be super scared when Sporting rolls in. Although if Sporting could have asked for any matchup going forward, I think they like the one they got to hope for. But yeah, I mean, Glimt had their chance. They had their moment in the sun. They got paid a whole lot more money than, most Norwegian clubs get paid in appearances in Champions League. So, yeah, I mean, it's good for them. And then Sporting one step closer, and who knows, magic happens in European nights. So, and especially in their matchup. So, yeah.
Yeah, and this is where I talked about this when we were talking about the round of 16. Like, this is what the Champions League does. Like, it gives like these guys their moment in the sun, their big financial opportunities. They get a piece of that pie, and this is what me and Edward, Edward and Kelcey, we all talked about when we were against the Super League, the European Super League, because you were taking away opportunities for this. And like, yes, is the new Champions League format essentially what the European Super League was gonna be? Yes, but the thing that people don't I think people don't continue to try to refuse to understand is that it was the open opportunity. This was supposed to be an exclusion for only the big teams across Europe. There was never gonna be like, hey, Bodo Glimt, come on, play in the European Super League. No, because they didn't want those teams to be there. They didn't want to go to Norway and play. They wanted us to see Bayern Munich versus Barcelona. They wanted us to see Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid. They want to see Real Madrid versus Manchester City for like the millionth time. So like that's what they thought people wanted to see. But reality is, we want to see those small teams. We want to see a Sheriff, and how happy we were that their badge was a star. That's what we want to see. Like, this is what, because it's, once again, it does give you that belief that the little guy can make it.
Yeah.
Do they make it? No. But can they make it? Sure. Like,
look, it's Panathinaikos has one of the greatest Champions League runs of all times. Olympiacos as well. I honestly don't care if a smaller club gets knocked out in a small stage. But you know what I do care about is if that smaller club advances beyond the league stage and gets into the knockout rounds, because that's exciting. That's what you dream of. And I'm not like, oh, it's so bad they should never be in here when they get blown out 3-0 in a group stage. I don't care. Because like, at least they got the opportunity, and now we talk about the global game and growing it and all that good stuff. This is how you do it. You don't grow it by insulating the entire thing to 20 teams and only 20 teams. Like, I'm sorry, anybody watching Tottenham right now and thinks Tottenham would be a great Champions League finalist or semifinalist or anything like that? No, we're all looking at them like, yeah, you're Tottenham. You literally playing a toilet. Like, but they were one of the teams that would have forever been in Champions League based off of that. They would have never gotten dropped because they paid so much money. And that's like, that can't be the case. You can never have that be the case. When you have conversations around teams not being able to get through the season and getting relegated. I mean, some of these teams, Man United a few years ago was in relegation zones, and they were going to be one of the untouchables. Like, no, this should never be the case. This is exciting. This is what I love. Like, there's a reason we all love March Madness, just like we all love the Champions League, just like we all love the World Cup. As much as we love to support our own country, our own teams, we love the underdog stories. Every single time. Anytime there's an underdog, we're going to root for them. Just as a fan of sports, you root for the underdog. Whether you love the movie Rudy or not, you watched it. You had some kind of feeling in your heart. Whether you loved the movie's goal or not, you liked it. And you had some kind of feeling in your heart. It's still one of my favorite movies of all times. So, I don't know. It's stuff like that. It's like, this is what Bodo Glimt represents. This is what Sheriff represented. This is what Norway in the World Cup will represent. Like, these countries don't get opportunities, and now here we are. We're talking about now they're getting an opportunity, and it's not like they don't win to get in. Like, you got to still win to get there.
I mean, 2018, everyone was won over by Iceland.
Yeah. So, hey, one good skull chant will get you there.
Yeah,
that's what I've learned.
We were all doing the Viking clap.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, so much so the Minnesota Vikings adopted it.
I mean, it seems like every team is doing that thing now. Yeah. But and then the final one, which is Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Now, I was still in belief that Real Madrid could still go against the odds and take on Manchester City, despite all the injuries that they had on that team, which is a lot, including no Mbappe, no Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, who is the Manchester City killer, is out for the year. So, yeah, it was not looking great. I think Militao is out again. There was a lot of injuries to the point that even David Alaba isn't available. So, you know how I feel about David Alaba. And so, yeah, to the point where we have Castilla players coming in to play these matches. So everything from what I'm just saying should have pointed that Man City should go into these matches and take and beat Real Madrid. As right now, as Real Madrid is already just so controversial of a team, just because of everything that's been going on since the sacking of Xabi Alonso, that this team just doesn't seem to have a direction. That honestly, when it comes down to winning matches, it's just going to take individual brilliance to really that's going to help Real Madrid win matches. And that is exactly what happened, because Federico Valverde just has a first half hat trick in the first leg, which, once again, going to the Bernabeu is never going to be ideal. But you're talking about some of the most... I forgot I was watching Manchester City because of how bad this back line was playing, how bad Gigi Buffon was playing. You almost forgot that these are some of the top players in the world. And it was just because Valverde was just able to get his opportunities, and he made them pay, and pay dearly they did.
Yeah. No, it was impressive. Game 1 was just a masterclass from Valverde. This is why Valverde is such a loved player for Real. It's why he will probably never leave Real if they can help it, at least until he's older. I mean, he's a guy that, it's hard to look at him and be like, oh, we want to replace you with anybody else. Who would you replace him with? I don't want to replace him with anybody, and I'm not even a Madrid fan.
He's the vice captain, but where's the captain's armband? Because Dani Carvajal isn't available. So
yeah, it's an impressive thing to see. I mean, and like you said, you had players coming up from the second squad, and it's to be able to pull that off again at a Champions League night against Man City, everything they have. I mean, Donnarumma is a good goalkeeper, a really good goalkeeper, but it feels like this year he has not been top class like he's been in the past. And it was shown in the first leg. And in the second leg, I mean, it was a squeaker, but it pulled out. It worked out in Real Madrid's favor at the end of the day. And it's, a red card, maybe questionable, maybe not. Depends on which side of the fence you're on. But, it is Real Madrid doing what they had to do to win. And great players seem to do great things in the moments they're needed. And Real Madrid is filled with great players. Whether you like them or not is a different story. But they are great players, and they should be doing great things. And despite whatever manager's rolling with.
Second leg, I mean, as soon as they gave away that penalty and Vinny scored that one, which is funny because it was like the first leg could have been 4-0 if Vinny would have made his penalty. But then he makes the penalty, and now it's like, all right, well, this game's out of reach. Erling Haaland, God bless his soul, but he scored a goal, but for what cost? And then Vinny gets a goal, gets called offside, but then gets the goal back, but then gets another opportunity to score another goal. So, yeah, I still can't believe this is a team that won the Carabao Cup. And Donnarumma was not available. They both, Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola, decided to stick with their cup goalkeepers. So that was Kepa versus Trafford, which is always funny that Man City got Trafford and not Manchester United. So
yeah, no, I don't know, man. It's hard to discount Madrid in any Champions League situation, and no matter who they're going up against. Man City, I still feel like I'm watching the Man City with Stephen Ireland in the pitch, even though it's been a very, very long time since Stephen Ireland and Craig Bellamy were running the sidelines for Man City. It still feels like I'm watching that squad at times, and I'm still just like, what? Why is everybody scared of you? Like, it's like, I know you have all this money, but why are we scared of you? And it was like watching that with Madrid. Madrid was just dominating them to the point of like, oh yeah, there's the City squad who used to have Lecoq as their sponsor for their jersey, and like,
and Valverde almost went in and exposed them again in the like early on in the second leg. He almost did it again, and it was just like, what is going on with Man City? Like, this is the team that's supposed to be contesting with the Premier League. Like this.
Yeah, this is the team that's spent so much money on their roster. This is the team with Pep Guardiola at the helm. It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it felt very bizarre. But hey, this is just Real Madrid, right? Real Madrid as to the T, where it looks terrible everywhere else in the league, but for some reason in the Champions League they just look like they could win another one, and the vibes are there for sure. But once again, I think with Real Madrid right now, it is definitely coded on individualistic performances. Well, I don't want to say individualistic, just top individual performances that happen.
It's class. I mean, at the end of the day, you have class players and they do class things, and Vinny did it in game 2, and game 1 was Valverde. I mean, it's just that easy. It's just again, great players, man. This is why you go out and spend $100 million, $400 million, $500 million on a player. You're just like, yeah, this is what they can do for me. Obviously, I don't have the money to spend on them, but somebody out there does, and this is why they spend that money.
And that's that royalty money.
Must be nice.
It must be nice. All right, so we got the quarterfinals for the Champions League. So the first 2 matches that I'm going to mention are the games that are going to be played April 7th and April 15th. We have, start things off right away, Real Madrid and who I deem the best team in the Champions League this season, Bayern Munich. We've been here before. We've been in this situation before. As a matter of fact, this was obviously this is, I guess you could say, would be a revenge match for Bayern Munich from the Joselu year. Which was the last Champions League they won, because that was when they beat Borussia Dortmund, where there was that controversial offside call that wasn't offside, which was a Joselu goal. Those Bayern Munich players, how many of them are just thinking about that game right now?
None. I don't even. Do any of them still exist?
Was Harry Kane with them at that time?
I honestly don't. I think it might have been his first year if it was.
Yeah, because that was his first year. He didn't win a single thing.
Yeah, that's right. Because we made the joke about him moving to Bayern and not winning it. Yeah, so yeah, that was the only. I mean, but there's maybe 3 guys on that roster who have that in their head.
Yeah.
The rest of them are like, hey, we're still Bayern. We're still a juggernaut. We still. I find this funny that in a head-to-head, they've played 9 matches or 10 matches for Bayern and 12 for Real Madrid, which I don't understand how that works out. But they say they both won 9 of these matches, and it's crazy to see like their head-to-heads and how they compare. It feels like Real Madrid should win, but also we talked about a Joe's versus Schmoes manager and what that impact can be, and I think European Nights, somebody like a Vincent Kompany he'll get you up and ready for this match for sure. And Harry Kane leading the front line is hard to discount at any point in time. And I'm not taking anything away from Madrid's talent. I just talked about how good they are, but I think we're both in agreement that this Bayern team is just really, really, really good, and they're scary. And it's how do you stop them when your defense has been questionable at times as well?
You not only do you have to answer for Harry Kane, you have to answer for Luis Diaz, you have to answer for Michael Olise, and then you got to think about that midfield. There's just so much that this back line, who is very much battered, has to, like, can we get another good, solid defensive performance from Rudiger? can D Huijsen make 0 mistakes? Is Carvajal going to be available, and can he not be a liability for some weird reason? Or should we let
Trent play defense?
Can Trent play defense? I mean, his playmaking ability is great. Not taking that away from him. But, yeah, he is still defensive liability.
Or the question is, this is something that Liverpool had to deal with him. They would allow him to go up and attack, and they'd slide the holding mid back or the hinge midfielder back on defense. So, yeah, is it going to be too many that ends up in that situation where he ends up running sideline to sideline like what Valverde had to do a couple years ago? Because I think that's maybe how you have to look at this if you're Madrid. Maybe you allow Trent to go forward and maybe hope that him attacking pins Luis Diaz or pins Elise back. So at least you only have to deal with 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And you hope, right? Your guys can hold those 2 back because you're still playing 4-on-2 in that situation. And Trent would be marking Elise or Diaz, whoever's on his side. Maybe Kane occasionally, as he likes to pivot out to the wing now every now and then. But
also, you got Musiala back, so
yeah, and that's the tough thing. Like now, you actually have somebody to hold up play and attack and be that hinge player in midfield to get things going for the attack for Bayern, and it's scary.
And this is the crazy thing is because everything points Bayern Munich. Everything points to Bayern Munich that they should all just handle Real Madrid, especially a battered Real Madrid. Everything should tell you Bayern Munich should win this. So everyone would tell you that Manchester City should beat Real Madrid. If there was a time for them to finally overcome that ghost of Real Madrid for Manchester City, that was the team to do it against.
Yeah.
But
that was your best chance.
That Champions League, just the aura of Champions League for Real Madrid, is that enough against arguably probably one of the more complete teams in the Champions League with Bayern Munich?
It's tough because you think about when Real Madrid has won a title. It always seems in our lifetime doesn't seem like the best of the best. They're not the top tier team every year that wins the title. It feels like you're just sneaking your way in on a random player coming off the bench who's played maybe 17 minutes of knockout stage games, comes in with a game-winning header. That's the type of appearance from
the last Champions League for Real Madrid. They didn't even have a 9. I mean, they had Oselu, but he was coming off the bench.
It's like
Jude was playing the 9 role essentially.
It seems like these are the moments that for Madrid, these are the ones that they just step up with and they can beat anybody. And I hate it because it's like I'm like you. I'm like statistically, I want to pick Bayern, just based off of pure vibes. I'm picking Bayern, but then the reality of the situation is this is when Real Madrid decides to play like Real Madrid, like the all-time winningest Champions League team, and I'm torn from my choices on this one because I don't know. Honestly, I feel like yes, Bayern should run rucksaw over them, but I'm also the person who has watched enough games with Madrid in this situation knows that this Madrid can just randomly decide to be a killer, and who knows, maybe they're giant killers again.
I'm gonna just tell you, I'm picking Real Madrid. I mean, obviously, there's no way I wouldn't pick Real Madrid.
I'm gonna pick in that case. I'm picking Bayern because I wasn't gonna just go out and say. I knew you were gonna pick them. I just it's hard, man. I can't. It's not as confident as a pick as I should have.
I get it, but Bayern Munich I think they're probably the heavy favorites to win the Champions League now.
Oh yeah,
they should be. I'm sorry to Arsenal, but no one's throwing their money at Arsenal right now because we seen it. But yeah, Bayern Munich is the strongest team. They are the strongest team going in from here on out, unless they get eliminated in this round. It is crazy that we're gonna Bayern Munich at their strongest, and they haven't won a Champions League since 2020. Since the COVID year. And so...
By the way, they're still not the favorites somehow. It is still Arsenal. It's still the Vegas betting favorites, yeah.
It's probably just good rankings, but...
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's plus 233 to plus 333, so it's close enough that it's split. Okay. But yeah, it's... I mean, look, it feels like I'm overthinking this one, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to pick Bayern because when we inevitably cut the short and we put it out on social and everybody's like, oh God, he didn't pick Bayern. What an idiot. And they walk the dog, then it's going to be like, oh, well, okay, cool, I did it. But what's going to inevitably happen, we're going to put the short out there and Hector's going to be right. And I'm going to look stupid because I picked Bayern, despite all the good things I said about Real Madrid leading up to it. It's like, I almost feel like it's a situation where you can't win no matter who you pick, because it doesn't feel like this is a clear-cut winner.
Yeah,
There should be. But if you've watched any football, it's never easy.
Exactly. Next matchup is Sporting Lisbon taking on Arsenal. Now, many people think this is a team that Arsenal should beat, just like how Bayer Leverkusen is a team that Arsenal should beat, and they did beat them. It took a lot of strain and a lot of migraines to help, but they did it. Sporting Lisbon, by the way, has some history with Arsenal. They have actually eliminated Arsenal once upon a time in the Europa League. So I don't know if they're really all that scared of Arsenal. And the other thing that you should throw in with Arsenal as well, there's pressure.
Yeah.
There is, like, I mean,
much.
Like, yeah, and it's almost like, well, no shit, they're all pressure. Sorry for cussing, Kelcey. Like, there's all pressure. There's all pressure for all these teams. Not as to the level of Arsenal. Sure, there's pressure for Real Madrid. There's pressure for Real Madrid every year. What's new? There's pressure for Bayern Munich, but that's nothing new for them. There's pressure for Barcelona. That's not new for them. Atletico Madrid, sure. PSG, if you don't win Ligue 1, it's an embarrassment. And now that you just went, you literally had one of the best seasons ever. Mine is not winning the FIFA Club World Cup, but one of the best years ever for PSG. There's pressure for them every year. Liverpool, there's pressure every year. But for Arsenal, who are supposed to be the team that are finally going to do it, and they don't ever do it, yes, there is a ton of pressure on them to succeed in the Champions League. They have never won the Champions League. They are almost every team in London has touched the Champions League final. I mean, Arsenal has also touched the Champions League final. But still, like, the pressure is on for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal, the pressure is on for Arsenal. They have to either win the Premier League or win the Champions League.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's a ton of pressure on them. And if they were to choke against Sporting Lisbon, because, yes, that's what we will be calling it. It will be a choke job against Sporting Lisbon. Because Sporting Lisbon, they're just like, I'm surprised we're here. So,
it's hard to look at this game and think it's anything less than a setup matchup. This feels like the setup game of all setup games. Like, you should walk the dog and you should put in your academy players to finish out leg 2. You should.
Put Kepa out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is this Sporting team can score goals. 22 so far this tournament compared to Arsenal's 26. Now, what they don't do is they don't do a great job defending in comparison to Arsenal. Arsenal's only given up 5 goals. Most of them came in the last leg.
Also, how many goals have Arsenal have scored off of set pieces?
Yeah. It's all, and that's the thing is, like, when you look at this, Arsenal should every single thing statistically points to Arsenal walking the dog. This is like the Bayern conversation I just had, where it feels like everything is obvious and it should be Arsenal. But how many times have we talked about European nights being different? And whether it was 2004 or now, European nights still have a existence all to their own, and it's its own aura, it's its own excitement, it's its own fear every player has to face. And the fact, like you said, there's pressure for Arsenal. You know what there's not for Sporting? Pressure. You know what they can do? Just go play. Pedro Gonçalves can easily walk out here and boss the midfield if he wanted to. And I'm not going to say he's a large human being to boss the midfield, but he can still boss the midfield in his own style. Because right now it feels like Arsenal is just hoping to grasp onto straws to continue to succeed. And that's not what you want to do when you go up against a Portuguese team, because Portuguese teams historically are problems for teams that are scrambling to try to figure out their defensive and offensive identity. It's just what they are. It's how they have it. It's like Greek teams as well. Greek teams also give teams that are struggling offensively a headache. And I'm like, statistically, this should all be Arsenal, but I'm going to say like the opposite of what I just did. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to say Sporting is actually going to pull it off against Arsenal, Hector. I'm sorry, but at least it's one of those things where I'm just like, it feels like somebody's going to be upset in this round, and the most likely scenario is this one with Sporting.
Honestly, I could see it, but I'm gonna go with Arsenal. I think that if they can get some set pieces going, they'll probably end up winning it. I think Sporting Lisbon, the one like you said, defensively is where it does hurt for them. And Arsenal can score, so especially if it's on a set piece. So I will definitely say I'll go with Arsenal, though I could see that this could be very much. I don't want to call it what's it called when a trap game. I don't want to call this a trap matchup, but especially because you have two legs to prove it.
But it kind of is.
But it kind of is. Like Arsenal cannot fall for the trap.
Well, I mean, game one's in Portugal. That's what makes this so tough. Is leg one is in Portugal, and so now you have to. If you're Arsenal, you can't lose by 2. But if you're Sporting, you can give up one away goal as long as you win if you win 2-1. So that's your mindset going into this if you're Sporting, because you're like, I can score 1 goal against the Gunners out in London. I think I can do that. Any confident Portuguese team believes that. And so it's just a matter of slowing down Arsenal in Portugal at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. So we'll see what happens, man. So those are the April 7th and April 15th matches. The matches are going to be played in April 8th and 14th. We're going to start things off with a little Spanish matchup with Barcelona taking on Atletico Madrid. Now, they have faced off in a semifinal previously in the Copa del Rey, where Atletico Madrid did beat Barcelona. Can we see a similar result this time around with Atletico Madrid? Can Atletico Madrid repeat what they did in the Copa del Rey final? Or will Barcelona and their high line be able to finally answer back to what Atletico Madrid did to them?
That's a great question, because honestly, everything we talked about earlier with why Barcelona was able to dominate, Newcastle and how fast you have to beat them. Atletico Madrid might be the team that can do it, and it's not like I'm saying that there's circumstances so far. There hasn't really been, but you look at their goal scoring record. They've scored 31 goals. They've scored more than Barcelona so far this Champions League. Defensively, can they stop going the other way? That's a different conversation. But yeah, I look at this as it's a La Liga matchup, so it's always going to be competitive, more so than it would be if it was a European or an English and Spanish or Italian and Spanish or anything like that. This is going to have a little bit of bad blood to it, and it's going to be exciting. And I think that opens the door for Atletico Madrid to potentially pull off an upset, because Barcelona, it doesn't feel like it's Barcelona of our youth. It doesn't feel like they're that unbeatable, despite being very good. It doesn't feel like they're unbeatable by any means. At least when they go up to equal to or slightly maybe lesser than competition, it feels like unless they are just Getafe or something, it doesn't feel like Barcelona is strangleholding the game. And so it feels like if anybody has a chance of beating Barcelona right here, it is Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, I think they have figured out Barcelona, like the high line. I mean, and once again, it's not like it takes rocket science to figure out the high line. Yeah. It's just all about timing, and I mean, they have the guys up front that can definitely expose them. Griezmann, despite his age, still has a lot of pace still on him. I mean, Adebayo Lookman is another guy that you want to keep an eye on. Simeone's kid, and for people that think that Simeone signing his son is a nepo hire, he has other kids that play, by the way.
Yeah. He only signed one.
He only signed one. The youngest one, the smallest one, is the one that he said, "Yeah, bring my kid in." So I don't think it's a nepo hire. I think that this was very much like, no, my kid's actually pretty decent. So and he actually has been performing pretty well for Atletico Madrid. So I just wanted to defend that part, because if that was the case, there'd be a whole other mess of Simeones that would be here. But
yeah, there would be like 7 more.
So yeah. For those people that are like, oh, it's a nepo signing. No, he has other kids, and they're not here. So just saying. But yeah, Atletico Madrid. I don't know. They're just. I mean, they just win. They played against Real Madrid in a 3-2 win, 3-2 loss for them, but still hung well with Real Madrid. You know, despite being Real Madrid went down a man actually. But yeah, Atletico Madrid. This is one of those weird. That was a weird one because I was like, you know, the way Real Madrid's been playing defensively, and I guess finally they applied some of the principles that Xabi Alonso taught them. So yeah, well, there we go. But yeah, Atletico Madrid. I think it's just they live and breathe of whatever Diego Simeone is teaching them.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're a dangerous team. Ademola Lookman, very dangerous player. Might be the guy that makes Barcelona pay with the way he plays. So
I agree with that. I think he's just too impressive not to be
but
that
also,
guy at the end of the day.
On the other hand, you are talking about Lamine Yamal. You are talking about Rafinha. You are talking about Danny Olmo, Fran Torres, even though Edward does not like that guy. You still got Robert Lewandowski. Marcus Rashford can give you some moments from on the occasion. You know, Pedri, Gavi. You know, not Gavi. Fermin Lopez. Well, Gavi. I think is Gavi healthy now?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Fermin Lopez, who just first half of the season, that kid was just scaring the crap out of everybody because he just come out of nowhere and score goals. So like, this Barca team can play, man. Like this attack is scary. Like it's gonna be an Atletico Madrid master defensive class to stop what this attack can do, and it's gonna be a lot of Barcelona having the ball. That's literally what Barcelona's always been bred in, which is possession ball. And Atletico Madrid is grew up in shithousery. Sorry for cussing, Kelcey, but that's literally what Atletico Madrid is built on. I mean, you see the guy in the black suit, you know what he was built in. You know what he believes in. Just look back at the red card from David Beckham. So, like, yeah, this is going to be a really good matchup. I think Barcelona gets their payback. At least that's my opinion. Me and Kelcey, we talked about last year with Barcelona. Like, this won't be the last time we see Barcelona in the semifinal. This won't be the last time we might see Barcelona in the final someday. Do I think it's this year? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, like Barcelona, like this team is really good. This team has done a lot of good things, and I hate that I'm saying so many nice things about Barcelona, but that's just Lamine Yamal, man. That kid is earmuffs, Edward. That kid's really good. Like it's just so unfair that how good that kid is. All right, Edward, you're back. You get back in. But yeah, this Barcelona team is really good. I think them and that. This might be the matchup of the quarterfinals. The one to watch is Barcelona Atletico Madrid. I know Bayern Munich and Real Madrid is going to be also probably nice, but this is juicy, especially when it's like win or go home.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a one to watch. I mean, I have my eyes on somebody else, obviously, but yeah, I do think this is going to be a very competitive match for sure. And I agree. Like you can't count out Barcelona at any point in time. This young squad is still quality. And by the way, it does look like Gavi is back in the roster. It doesn't look like he's played yet. It looks like he just came back in the last two matches. So, yeah, it is a situation, though, for Barcelona. It has to be an impressive offensive situation, and I think for Atletico, you just have to stop them somehow. Just slow them down. Don't let Lamine Yamal get on the front foot and start dictating the pace, and that determines how successful you can be. I think he's one of those guys, while I think Lamine Yamal is very, very good quality player, I think he does still struggle in these slow build-up situations because he gets caught too far back in midfield and sometimes forgets that he is a striker or he is a forward. He needs to be in the front of the line and not 60 yards away from goal. I think he does struggle with that at times, and if Atletico Madrid can put that on him, however you need to, make him defend some, do whatever you have to do, I think you have a great opportunity for Atletico. So for me, that's who I'm going with in this one. I do think Atletico here is going to pull off something. And I'm not saying Barcelona can't, but at the end of the day, I'm not sold on Barcelona this year still. I still feel like they're a year, maybe two away from being that team again.
Yeah, I get you. I totally get you on that one. But we'll see what happens, man. This should be a good matchup. And the last one, it is a rematch of the round of 16 of last year. PSG going up against Kelcey's Liverpool. And no, I did not do this on purpose, that this was the last game we were going to come.
He did.
A little bit. I literally could have just put Barcelona and Atletico Madrid last, but I didn't. So you're right. But, all right, Kelcey. Obviously, this isn't the same PSG team from last season.
No, it might be better.
No, it might be better.
It might be better, and that's what's scary. Because while this Liverpool team is winning at times and winning when it needs to, it doesn't feel like it's winning comfortably. It does feel like it's got to be complete sellout for wins. If I'm Liverpool, I'm selling out for these wins against PSG. I am doing everything I can. I'm pulling every trick I can pull. Every statistic shows that PSG is a better team except for goals conceded, because they have just given up 17 goals. But, they've scored 34. So it's like, all right, well, that's fine. Liverpool, on the other hand, scored 24, given up 9. It's not a team that is going to scare you if you're PSG in a lot of cases, unless they get the ball on a quick turn and just lost in midfield and they can turn it quickly and go. That's when it feels like Liverpool is at their deadliest right now. And that could be Ekitike up front, Mo Salah, Gakpo, whoever, whichever player you want to talk about scoring on that situation. But it's usually led by Fabian Wirtz getting on the ball or grabbing back, getting on the ball and actually getting on a half turn and attacking a defense. And that's something that you see a lot when they struggle, is that you don't see that as well. And obviously you need the help in the back. You need to see Virgil be Virgil. But it really is going to be down to this offense, the attack for Liverpool, if they can even pull this off, because I feel like they just go stagnant too often. And I do worry that against PSG, that is a death sentence. If you go stagnant against this PSG team, you are just asking to be pelted with crosses, with attacks, with one-on-ones, with dribble penetration situations for this attacking team from PSG. And you don't want to get on your back foot at the end of the day against them, because if you do that, it's 4-0 before you know it. So I'm scared, honestly, for every sense of the way, because I think PSG is better this year than they were before. And I think Barcola is somebody who you got to be afraid of if you're Liverpool. I think Barcola can really, really do some damage against the back line for Liverpool. And I don't have a lot of high hopes, but I have hopes. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting on how they contest against against PSG's attack. I think that's really going to be the matchup, is PSG's attack versus Liverpool's defense. Yeah. If they're able to stay locked in and quiet that team a little bit, because we saw what they did to Chelsea's back line. I think Liverpool has a better back line compared to Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
That's not really saying much, to be fair.
But yeah, but it's still not that great.
It's still not that great, but but yeah, it's gonna come down to that, and if we can see the guys that obviously Liverpool has really gone out of the way to bring in, Ekitike, Wirtz, if we can see have them have their Champions League moment, it'll be really good for them. But when you look down to it, both PSG just really stacks a lot against you. Even the manager, going down to the manager. No offense to Arne Slot, I like Arne Slot, but it's not Luis Enrique. Yeah. It's funny. It's like this. It shouldn't be. It's a Goliath versus Goliath, but it feels like this Goliath is maybe a little bit smaller compared to PSG's Goliath.
Yeah, and it scares me also for Liverpool. It feels like you don't know what to do with Szoboszlai. The guy scores, he assists, he does everything, but you don't feel like you you need to get him on the pitch, but you don't know where you need to have him on the pitch for him to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that sucks, because I think he's a great midfielder and he can play that role well. Just feels like he gets stuck in a situation where he's a right back at times, and you're like, what? Why are you a right back of all things? Right? That doesn't make sense. And still scores, he still assists, he still makes plays happen. It's just, I don't want to see a situation where Szabo is sitting there trying to defend a PSG attacking him nonstop because it's not where he's at his best. Mm-hmm. He's at his best attacking. He's at his best making a decision, making a long pass, making a killer, key pass into the box. And between him and Wirtz, if when they're on the same page, it opens up things for Isaac or for Ekitike or for Salah or for Gakpo or for whatever attacker they want to throw up there. It could be Bradley for all I care. Whoever they end up with that's going into the box. If Wirtz and Szabo are attacking him, it does feel like it's a much better opportunity for Liverpool. And then it's going to have to be a lot of that. Like, you're going to have to defend in the midfield for Liverpool. You can't just let them attack your back line. And when you let them attack your back line, it's kind of already game over because the PSG is a swarming team and they will just swarm that ball and not let it get out of their own end. And if you can win it in midfield, you have the opportunity to catch as they transition from defense to offense. And their formation changes. PSG's formation does change, and that's how teams beat them, is they catch them in that midfield turnover situation and they can capitalize. But I don't know if Liverpool has the weaponry to do it. I'll be honest. It does scare me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking PSG, but
obviously I'm taking Liverpool in case anybody missed that.
I mean, you stand by your team, man. I definitely get that.
I'll live or die.
Because it's crazy because there. I mean, if you want to talk about like English representation, right? Like, Kelcey has his doubts with Arsenal, and I mean, look, I do think Liverpool's a good side. They just had to face up against a. At this point, the matches aren't going to be easy. The matchups are not going to be easy. I mean, unless I'm sure some people think Sporting Lisbon is going to be a cakewalk, but yeah, like it's just going to get harder from here on this point. Hell, the semifinals, from which whatever results are going to be some crazy matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
fun matchups.
So I mean, like, it's gonna get harder, and like teams that are really good are gonna have the. It's like the joke from The Longest Yard, man. This guy's so fast that he makes fast people look not so fast. Like it's really like it really just encompasses to it. It's just gonna be, yeah, that team is really good, but we're also really good as well. Oh, we spend a lot of money on our team, so does the other team on the other side. Yeah. So it's really going to come down to, unless it's Barcelona. So it's really going to come down to those things, and I think that, yeah, I think this is a tough draw for Liverpool. I will say this though, I wish we get the draws back. I mean, obviously when they normally draw for the quarterfinal, they'll do one final draw, and then that's when we know who's playing against who in the semifinals. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I just miss the allure of just doing draws after every round. Like, I just miss it.
I miss the excitement of it.
Of like, oh shoot, we get to play against this team. Like,
yeah, like, I think I miss the trash talking. Honestly, I miss trash talking my friends. Obviously, there's not very many Liverpool American fans that I know or grew up around. I always grew up around Man United, Chelsea fans, or ironically Newcastle fans. But I would always.
You can thank Goal for that one.
Yeah. Actually, I think so. I think that's why they are a Newcastle fan. But yeah, I mean, it was always something like we trash talk ourselves going into draw days. We would watch it on the giant TV in the middle of the student room with, all the kids surrounding it. And we're like, oh yeah, that's our school. That's where you learn to support your squad and deal with all the trash talk. But I miss it. I don't, but I miss it, if that makes sense. Like, part of me likes knowing who your next opponent is, but the other part of me is like, but I don't want to know. Just surprise me with somebody, because then you're like in this situation, Real Madrid goes against Bayern. It's like I don't want to overthink what's about to happen against Bayern. I don't want to overthink what's about to happen for Liverpool against PSG, because for both of us, that is two of the best teams our clubs are going against. So it's like, all right, well, great. But yeah, I do miss the fun and the allure of the draw, because it felt like the draw happened and then it was like a week later they'd play a match. Whereas now it's like the game's ended. All right, I already know who we're playing. Doesn't matter anymore. I miss that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man. So that is Champions League. That is the round of 16 and the quarterfinal preview. Kelcey, obviously, it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. Tell us what's going on with High Low Sports and Belly Up.
Yeah, so end of March. So we're getting ready for the draft, getting ready for NBA playoffs coming up soon, and obviously March Madness being the case. You can find High Low Sports every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on our social, or 8 p.m. Eastern time on our social medias, or live the next morning on the Belly Up YouTube channel. Be sure to stay tuned for whatever we got planned up. We got a big board coming out. We got our mock draft Mondays coming up. We got a whole lot of conversations that might surprise some people, and some card conversations for some random sports cards that I decided to pull out of the storage unit recently. Got nothing better to do, so be sure to look out for that content as well. But yeah, High Low Sports on every platform except for Twitter, which is high_low_sports, because why not? But yeah, be sure to check us out.
All right, you guys, that links will be in the description as well, by the way. Kelcey, always a pleasure to have you on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Fight and win!
All right, guys, Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing site app, however you use it, and it works in your convenience, man, for all live events when it comes to sporting events, concerts. Me and Edward use SeatGeek for a lot of the events that we attend to, and we love it. It's really easy, man. It has a very easy grading system using colors and numbers. If it is very low and super red, that means those prices for that event. Don't buy this ticket. Keep scrolling. You'll find something better. If it's super high and very green, that means it is a great deal. Go ahead and buy these tickets. You're going to enjoy your event. Me and Edward love the simplicity of SeatGeek. We use it for everything that we use. And if you guys aren't sold just yet, for first-time users, use that code BellyUpSports at checkout. Save $20 off your first purchase. Once again, use that code BellyUpSports at checkout. Save $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. My player of the week is Vinicius Jr., who scored 2 goals in Real Madrid's 3-2 victory. Jesus Christ. 3-2 victory versus Atletico Madrid and the Madrid derby. So, congratulations, Vinicius Jr., for scoring 2 goals. And Edward's player of the week is Nico O'Reilly, who scored 2 goals in Manchester City's 2-0 victory against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final. Hurts a little bit, but it is what it is, man. So congratulations to Vinicius Jr. and Nico O'Reilly for being our players of the week. Once again, guys, go to SeatGeek.com. Use that code BellyUpSports for first-time users. Save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, guys, games to watch this weekend. It is the international break, and we'll kick things off for Thursday. Thursday, we have World Cup qualifiers. These are the playoff matches that are going to be played for UEFA and FIFA paths. So, we have New Caledonia versus Jamaica, Bolivia versus Suriname. The winner of these matches will face against Congo and Iraq to decide who's going in those FIFA pathway spots. We also have the UEFA pathways, which is Turkey versus Romania, Ukraine versus Sweden, Poland versus Albania, Czechia versus Ireland, Italy versus Northern Ireland, Denmark versus North Macedonia, Slovakia versus Kosovo, Wales versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. So winners of these matches, they will move on to the next round and into the final of their specific pathway, and we'll find out who's going in these UEFA pathways as well. Those matches will be decided on Tuesday, so won't be listing it here, but it is on Tuesday, so if you guys be on the lookout for that one. Friday matches, we got Australia versus Cameroon, Austria versus Ghana, South Africa versus Panama, Saudi Arabia versus Egypt, Iran versus Nigeria, Greece versus Paraguay, England versus Uruguay, Netherlands versus Norway, Switzerland versus Germany, and Morocco versus Ecuador. Some really good matches on Friday. Yes, it's a lot of football, but who fucking cares? Sorry for cussing, Kelcey. But yeah, so lots of great matches on Friday. Saturday, we got USA versus Belgium, South Korea versus Ivory Coast, Senegal versus Peru. Senegal is very pissed off. We'll see how they retaliate to poor old Peru. We'll see what happens there. Canada versus Iceland, Scotland versus Japan, and Mexico taking on Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo in Estadio Azteca. Be ready for that one. And then Sunday, we have Colombia versus France. So that is the big matchup for Sunday. Once again, finals for the World Cup qualifiers. And we do have USA-Portugal also on Tuesday. But obviously, that's not the weekend. So, obviously, this is not all the matches that are being played this weekend. But if you guys need a good beginner's guide, I think we gave you guys some good matches to keep an eye on. So, with all that being said, we're going to take one last break. and then go and wrap this show up with our give and go segment.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
It's going to be interesting when I'm recording this because of the fact that, like, I'm right now wearing an Arsenal kit. Arsenal is playing Manchester City. So it'll be interesting to see, for the Carabao Cup final. So it'll be interesting to see, like, if all this was forgot for nothing. So that's just the only thing that's kind of intriguing. But yeah, guys, Give and Go. Give and Go is an awesome card game. Once again, it has like prompts for discussions. There's also some little games here as well, but every card game tells a story. What's yours? Give and Go is the ultimate soccer card game packed with trivia, challenges, and conversation starters that bring fans together. With 3 game-changing categories, it's designed to get everyone talking, laughing, and reliving their favorite footy moments on the couch, at the pub, or wherever your game takes you. Wherever you go, Give and Go. Once again, guys, go to Give and Go Games. This is not a sponsor of Insert Name FC by all means, but it's been a lot of fun playing with this game. Obviously it's been our prompt for like to end the episode with. We've done it a few times on goals with Wake Up MLS. Oh, you know what? I didn't mention it earlier, but Golerado. If you guys don't know who Golerado is, he is essentially a writer, a guy that grew up here in the United States, is of Mexican descent, and he wants to share people their stories of how they got into football, their teams and all that. And so I was featured in his most recent newsletter. It was really cool, really fun experience. Make sure you guys check him out on TikTok at Golerado. Subscribe to his newsletter, man. It's he's doing some really cool things. So, make sure you guys check him out. Give him some love over there for sure. But yeah, at Golerado. Golerado. If you guys don't know, I'm guessing he's from Colorado. But yeah, really cool experience. Really cool guy. The article that he wrote on me was pretty cool. I mean, obviously I gave him all the information that he needed. So, but yeah, great guy. Make sure you guys go ahead and give him some love over there as well. Golerado. But yeah, really fun experience, and it was just really cool just sharing my story, how I got into football, why I picked the teams that I support, Obviously, most of you guys know, I am a Madrista. That is the team that trumps everything. And then, of course, I support the Houston Dynamo and my soft spot for Arsenal. I don't really say I'm a gunner. I don't say I'm a gooner, even though maybe in this time of the era, maybe it's okay to say that you're not a gooner, but I like Arsenal. I like supporting Arsenal. It's a fun club. It all stems from just Edward not letting me play with Manchester United on FIFA. It really does come from that. Because obviously when it came to the Premier League, I kind of watched Manchester United. I watched it because of Cristiano Ronaldo. And then of course, but whenever I played FIFA, Edward played with Manchester United because, he likes Manchester United. And so when it came down to it for me, I had to pick another Prem team, and that other Prem team was Arsenal. And you can thank Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira for that. And because it all comes back to the 1998 World Cup for me. Everything just draws back to the 98 World Cup. Players like Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Ronaldinho, even though, it obviously didn't pick Barca, Roberto Carlos, like, all that influenced me to be the fan that I am. Why I became Madrista is because I am a fan of Ronaldo, phenomenal. So, and I really do say that with people, like, I mean, Ronaldo could have played for Stoke City for all I know, and I would have been a Stoke fan. So, like, that's literally how my fandom came to be. It wasn't because I was a glory hunter by any means. I didn't even know Real Madrid was as big as they were before I became a fan of this team. Let's see. Okay, so the first one is, you miss a sitter, get flicked in the ear. That's not going to happen. Name 3 players for the person across from you. Play 1, sell 1, bench 1. Can't really do that because there's nobody here. If you had to create a team for this group, what would it be? If I had to create a team for this group, I guess, well, okay, I can't really do those either. So let me just draw whatever's on top. Trip down memory lane. What's your favorite footy moment from this year? Oh, from this year? I can't really say from this year because we're only like 3 months in the year, right? Like we're about to finish March. So like, man, like yeah, like my favorite footy moment this year. Okay, I'll go with this question because like it is. I think it's somewhat relevant, but like I mean, because it's kind of hard because obviously there's not a lot that's been happening. Obviously, things have happened, right? Things are going on. Man, that's interesting. My favorite footy moment so far this year. You know, I'll probably just say it, just because of you know where the bar was for Real Madrid, after how the year started for them when they sacked Xabi Alonso, but like there was something just truly satisfying about eliminating Manchester City. Like once again, it just goes down to like individual players coming up big, but just seeing, Federico Valverde kind of putting the team on his back and coming up big with a hat trick in the first leg. Second leg, they calmed down a little bit. It was a 2-1 loss, but it was, obviously Vinny got the penalty to extend the lead. And it was just going to be a chase, right? It was going to be a chase for, actually, was there another goal? Oh, I think it was 2. I can't remember now, but no, actually, it was a 2-1 win. I think, yeah, because Vinny scored a goal. Never mind. Yeah, I think, despite it all, just Real Madrid, that's going to be the identity. It's Champions League, right? But it was just something satisfying of like all the BS that's been happening and a team that maybe many people didn't expect, especially with all the injuries that Real Madrid had, to stay the course and still put on a good show. So if I had to say my moment of the year so far, and it's only been 3 months, it's definitely going to be that first leg against Manchester City, Real Madrid's first leg, because it just, once again, like it kind of, it doesn't matter what's going on with Real Madrid in behind the scenes, like they're still going to show out for Champions League, and so I guess that would be my moment right now. We'll see how, obviously we're 3 months into the new year, so we'll see what happens in the next 9 months of the year. We're a quarter down of the year. We'll see what happens in the other 4 quarters of the year. But yeah, make sure you guys, man, go givinggogames.com. Go ahead and check that out, man. Shout out to Nik Gable. Give him some love, man. Follow him on Twitter. Obviously, in the description for this episode, you'll have all the links to how to follow Nik Gable. Kelcey Coyne, of course, he comes on the show very frequently. He's a regular on this show. Links are also going to be for his show over there, High and Low Sports, with him and DJ Stewart. He does a lot of things for Belly Up Sports as well. So be on the lookout for those two. The links will be on the bottom. Yeah, give them their love, man. Speaking of Belly Up Sports, man, check them out, bellyupsports.com. Lots of articles that are constantly being written over there at Belly Up Sports of, March Madness is going on right now. That's the big thing right now, but MLB is about to kick off. You have, draft discussions, evaluating the next crop of NFL players. So lots of stuff are still being talked about. Obviously, combat sports is still going on. Obviously follow Nik Gable because he does cover soccer. So just be ready, man. Just be ready. There's a lot going on over at Belly Up Sports, man. Follow them on Instagram and X at Belly Up Sports. So you're seeing, because once again, they're being very active on social media, man. Constantly dropping videos. I just dropped a video. Well, I mean that's probably been a while now, but I dropped a video on the USMNT national team kids. Be on the lookout. Me and Kelcey, we're gonna be doing nation profiles on all participating nations in the World Cup. So be on the lookout for that one, especially because this weekend we're gonna finally know who all is playing in the World Cup. So lots and lots of stuff to talk about there. So make sure you guys are on the lookout there. Follow Goals TV, man. You'll see me there from time to time. I wake up MLS. Follow their YouTube channel, Goals TV, GOLZ.TV. Okay, maybe not .TV. GOLZ TV, GOLZ.TV. I'm so used to saying it like that. GOLZ TV, GOLZ TV. Follow them on Instagram at goals.tv, GOLZ.TV, and on YouTube, dude, I cannot do it today. On X at goals_TV, GOLZ_TV. So that's how you can follow Goals TV, man. They're doing a lot of cool stuff there. Be on the lookout because I'm also doing some stuff over there with them during the World Cup and also some stuff just with goals in general. So just be on the lookout for that. Shout out to Roosevelt Spencer. You know, obviously we have the Roosevelt Spencer Player of the Year award for a reason. It's because how great Roosevelt is to us. He is the guy that makes the beats, the intros, the outros. Once upon a time was the producer for the show, but he is still a big collaborator for the show. Does a lot of contributions, and we appreciate him so much that we named the award after him. Follow him on Instagram at thatguydope. Once again, at thatguydope, and he will take care of you, man. If you guys need some beat work, whether you're a podcaster, a YouTuber, maybe you're a musical artist, man. If you need some beats, hit up Spencer. He will take great care of you like he always does with us. We guarantee it, man. So we love you, Spencer. We hope that, you know, everything's going great. I hope you're staying busy, you know, especially with your family. So there is that. And, of course, follow us on all social media at InsertNameFC, Instagram, X, Facebook. You know what to do there. But with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening to episode 250. Catch us next week with 251. We have an interview with an author of a children's book, and we'll talk a little bit more about his football life and other things that he's done, but more so this book that he has written. So be on the lookout for next week, man. It's going to be really awesome. Can't wait for it. So with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. Take care, guys.